Yeah, I think they got 3 entrances into the track, haven't they? So I think they're going to split those 3 entrances, and your ticket will be like, you got to go in entrance 2, block 3 or whatever, and then you're pretty much sort of cornered now, which would be disappointing.
Yeah, if that's the case, I'll watch it on.
If you can get like esports tickets, so you get into that area, then it's worth it. But general access won't be worth it.
I'll come commentate.
I'll commentate on that one. I'll get pledged on that one. You're not going Super Bowl though.
Yeah, people ask me if I'm not doing the virtual one. My latest challenge.
Especially if I stuck with it. Yeah, that's why I commentate. I don't know. I'm just try next season. Right. Yeah. Okay, next time we talk, we're live. Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to Sim Race South Africa. It's Monday night. As always, that means Division 1 evening. And we're back in ACC. It's been a month, and we're back here for the quick guys in a Seca Competizione for round 5 of the simGT Championship. My name's Daniel Haynes, as you can see from screen, and we've got Nick Hodgson joining us, as always, for the simGT commentary. Thanks for joining us, Nick. How are we doing this night?
Good evening, everybody, and good evening, Dan. Really looking forward to Laguna Seca. Quite a tricky track, as we were talking off air, one that has never really quite suited my driving style, certainly particular points around the track. I'm sure we'll get into that a little bit later, but it's going to be slightly scorching, not too bad, because we will be going into the evening with this one. But I'm very keen to see how it all pans out. Of course, our mans are here. Essa is in a Porsche, and this being a Porsche playground, I'm expecting him, spoiler alert, to be doing particularly well tonight.
Oh, I haven't looked, so let's not muck about. Let's go straight there, and I'll take us over to the track right now, and we'll see how we have got on. I'm guessing Bess is at the front, is he? And we're at the moment with Alan Patterson, but just going to take a look, and indeed Zaire Asset is leading with 1 minute 20.934. in his dominant Porsche. So, yeah, he's back. We'll see how he gets on. And
quick recap, of course, is Kieran Patterson in second place. Remember, he was our winner last time out, which was a first time on the podium, even in a Div1 race for Kieran here at Sim Race SA, and a fantastic way to end that streak. So, a victory last time out. And this time is currently second with a fair amount to go in qualifying. But everybody else in the Bentleys, people like Bashir Jadwat, Ross Bartle, those guys, they're kind of struggling a little bit at the moment to hold a candle to Essa. So yeah, maybe Kieran's going to be the man to challenge.
And the unique thing in this season, 4 rounds in, and we've had 4 different winners. I don't think that's ever happened before. I mean, usually we get a guy that sort of runs away with it a bit, but 4 completely different winners in 4 rounds. So if Essa, Patterson or Jadwat are our top 3, they could be the first double winner for the season in round 5. So we'll bring up the championship table just to reflect that. So it's more about averages than it is about wins. And Bashir Jadwat has been very good and consistent, and is leading with 380 points.
So you got to remember though that there is a drop round here at Sim Race SA. So it's now that we're going into round 5, got round 6, so we'll only really know the full picture at the end of the season, because with 6 rounds and only 1 drop round, it's kind of all to play for still.
And that's where I like the last round, because you're frantically working away on your calculator whilst I'm doing other things.
Yeah, so, that's why I don't like it.
try to work out that drop round. But we have got Jadwat, who had a bad round already at Alton Park, where he lost force feedback, and he's still leading despite that. So he's very, very strong. Quaid Claessens, I don't think he's in tonight. Is he, Quaid Claessens, in second place?
No, I haven't seen him.
Paul Venter in third, Sean Stridham in fourth. But yeah, there's plenty of movement still to happen there. We've had a couple of drop rounds from Essa, so he's pretty much out of it as far as the championship is concerned.
So Paul Fenter, of course, currently in 11th qualifying at the moment in the Bentley, number 420. He is kind of just proving how critical it is to be consistent in this championship. He's done pretty well through each race and been certainly a one of the highlights, one of the newer drivers that's impressed for me. He's not. I don't think he's finished on the podium yet this season, but he certainly has shown what consistency will do for you.
Yeah, keep racking up those points. It means a lot by the time you get to the end, especially with ESCOM affecting events this season.
Exactly.
So we got Laguna Seca. Everybody knows it because, I mean, if you've done any sim since, I don't know, the original Gran Turismo, it's been in there. So I think everybody knows this track, which is almost surprising, really, on the fact that it's not used so extensively in real life. It's not like you get F1 cars running around here. But sim racers know it well. Let's take a look at the track layout right now. Bring it up on screen. You either love it or you hate it. I've got people that absolutely adore this circuit and others that just cannot stand it. So it's a difficult one. We're talking about it off air. You're maybe more in the second camp, Nick, would you say? I'm not too much of a fan as a driver. I'm not 100% sure. It's not my favourite, I have to admit.
Well, for me, actually, it's kind of almost divided into sectors. I think I'm probably the weirdo in the room because I'm a little bit on the fence. I'll explain why. So, Andretti hairpin turn 2, turn 1, of course, flat out. You don't really worry about that. But turn 2 Andretti, you do have a couple of lines that you can often take depending on the car you're racing, and you kind of want to get as good a drive as possible out for turn 3. But turn 3 and 4 are just two of my absolute nemesis. They have no camber whatsoever. They're basically completely flat, and they
wash
just
out
always
so easy, don't you? Those.
Yeah, exactly. So the washout, it just feels like corners that you should be able to push quicker than you can. They're just places to get things wrong, basically, and frustration zones. So 3 and 4 are pretty awful. 5 is not bad. 6 with that awful sausage curb on the left, and you really have to take that flat out commit up the roll straight, and on the right hand side of it is of course all of that gravel. So easy to get that wrong and ruin your race. Corkscrew I actually quite like. I do enjoy the corkscrew, and this is where the track gets interesting to me. So the corkscrew is obviously really interesting and fun, but then rainy curve 10 and 11. I actually really enjoy that little section.
11's a lot harder than you think, actually, isn't it? Because you can go out so wide there to get onto the back straight, and it's so important to get a good exit because you carry it for the longest point on the track. But I think fair to say the corkscrew, one of the most famous corners ever. If you take that out of this circuit, would it be quite what it was? I don't think it would be. It wouldn't be. It makes it, doesn't it? It really does make it. It is the whole focus of Laguna Seca. Turn 6, that sausage curb is going to be enough to kill the Bentley, I think. For the first time this season, I don't think the Bentley's going to be able to ride a curb and not worry about it.
We'll have to keep an eye on that.
That's damage right there. And then turn 1, always get guys trying silly things around there. You get like 3 abreast going into turn 1, very, very wide, and you just feel like you can always have a look, but I don't know. I'm expecting a bit of action in turn 1. Guys will try. But what is always good, we do get quite a bit of overtaking. Fingers crossed. We see quite a bit of overtaking here at Laguna Seca. There's plenty of opportunities to pass. Pretty much wherever the person in front of you makes a mistake, that's what we're looking for, which is easier to do than you would think.
Yeah, exactly. So I can see why people are going to have a go into turn 2. As I said, there are sort of a couple of lines that can be used through there. There is one quickest line, but the slower lines can be advantageous at so it's a kind of area that I will expect people to make moves. So it's so tempting at the start of the race to have a pop.
Definitely. We'll definitely see someone having a go in turn 1 at the start, so we'll keep a keen eye out for that. Let's have a quick look at the server settings for tonight with weather forecast. I didn't pick this one. Nick, did you pick it, or was it SAS that did this one?
So, it's always a collaboration between myself and SAS, but we felt that, always our weather conditions are modelled fairly closely on what real life is at the time of racing. But this being a desert, there's very, very little chance of rain. In fact, take a lot of money on there being no rain. So we're not going to be wet, obviously, being out in the desert, but we are mostly sunny. And what we've done is we're going to be racing into the evening with Laguna Seca. I think we should get some pretty good views once the sun starts to go down. And hopefully it should, being a desert, that the temperature should, I think, drop off a fair amount. So it could give these guys a little bit of a headache in terms of tyres.
I hope they've practiced the corkscrew in sunset conditions and you're not blinded at the crest of that thing, because that could get very interesting if that's the case. I haven't had a go myself, but I'm sure these guys have practiced all conditions. But yeah, the corkscrew as the sun sets, that could be interesting. I always remember there's a tree you pick out. I'm not sure whether it's on this sim, but on the iRacing, you just aim at the tree and that's your sort of turn-in point. But yeah, I haven't had to deal with blinding sunrise and sunset, so see whether that's a thing later. Ironically, I think this track's actually built on a lake bed, isn't it? It was wet once upon a time. It just won't be tonight.
Yeah, certainly not tonight. I actually don't know about that, to be honest.
I'm pretty sure the base of it was... I'm going back. I haven't checked. I haven't read the Wikipedia. But I'm pretty sure the bottom section of the track was on a lake bed originally, like a floodplain.
Well, given the elevation change, I'm not too surprised.
Yeah, they come out of it to go up the hill. So, but anyway, it will be dry. This place hasn't seen any rain for quite some time, and we've still got Zairessa leading the way with a 120. Has improved slightly since last time we were on board with him. 120.688. Kieran Patterson is 8 tenths back. That's a massive gap. That's one of the biggest gaps we've seen so far this season. Maybe a demonstration of how strong that Porsche is here. Kieran Patterson in the Ferrari, obviously. Every Bentley driver I've heard of this week has been complaining about this combination, so not so much of a fan, but they have had it their way for most of this season, so they were waiting for a track to bite them. But Ross Bartel's still doing well despite that, and is the front runner in the Bentley. He's picked past Bashir Chadwat in 4th place. And then we got Mark van Rensburg in 5th, also in the 911.
Speaking of Ross Bartel, remember this season he's had, I think tumultuous is the word.
A little bit up and down, and a few disconnects and all sorts have happened to Ross Bartel, hasn't there?
He's had, he's had, I think, at least 2 technical issues, and at tracks where he was looking fairly strong as well. But also what we've seen throughout the season, regardless of guys having ESCOM issues or technical issues, is that despite certain cars suiting, I should say, certain tracks, generally that track has not yielded a result exclusively for those cars. People have had issues, and if you have proved yourself to be consistent and dialed into the track, no matter what machinery you're in, it's generally paid dividends for you.
Yeah, it's been a good mix. I think it has been a good mix. It has predominantly been a bit of a Bentley fest at the start, but in the latter stages of this season, other brands have played a part, haven't they? Obviously, Kieran Patterson winning in the Ferrari at Paul Ricard, which
McCall's,
also wasn't a huge fan of the Bentley. And a few Astons popping up there as well. Yeah. Good mix, I think.
Yeah, so I think guys have sort of proved that it's more about the racing than the car advantages at various tracks.
We had on board with one of our round winners as well, Christian Deploy, is down in 9th position. He's been up and down a bit this season, hasn't he? Absolutely awesome in where was it? It was Alton Park that I think Christian Deploy took the win, and now wasn't such a good showing at Paul Ricard, and he's down in 9th so far. I think his race pace will be strong though. It's quite consistent.
Solid drivers, Christian. So I think I do expect his race pace to be right up there. Just having a look in the YouTube chat. A quick shout out to everybody who's there. Big hello to Anthony, Sean, Philip, Fritz, and somebody called Fat Chocolate. Don't know if you get thin chocolate. Hardus, Philip, and Keegan. Welcome everybody. I hope you have a great evening. Looking forward to sharing some racing with you. And if you've got any questions or anything, shout it out in the chats. We'll see if we can answer it. And looking forward to seeing what everyone can bring tonight. We've got 2 minutes and a bit, 2:27 left in qualifying, so the track should really at this stage be absolutely spot on. These drivers should be in the optimal conditions. We're looking at about 30 degrees on track temperature, so it's quite warm. 29, sorry. It's 29 track temperature, 22 air temp, so it's not. I shouldn't be complaining too much about tyres. Certainly not in qualifying mode. Very little wind as well, just 2 kilometers an hour. So absolutely perfect conditions right now for these drivers to be putting in their best possible laps. I don't know, Dan, if you can find anybody who's on a quick lap at the moment.
Yeah, just having a look. Morgan McCall, who we're on board with right now, is a 10th up so far, halfway through his lap. He's the only one in the top 10 that's currently up on his Delta, so we'll just stick with him for a little bit longer. McCall's have had a bit of a stressful season as well. I think Morgan had a bit of a nightmare at Paul Ricard in the last round and quit, I believe. We had a disconnect as well, I think, for one of the McCalls, so they're due a good result, I feel. But I've said that a few times, so I don't want to jinx it. So he's 1/10 up on his Delta so far, coming towards the end. He hasn't really improved. He got all that time right at the start of his lap, and he's carried it right up to the final corner, where he has just lost it. No, he's got it back again. In fact, he got a good exit. 3/10 up now is Morgan McCall. Should jump up, and he's up into third place.
Yo, that's a big jump. That's a big jump.
Brilliant final corner, because he was level on his Delta as he went into it, and then he gained 3/10 on exit. So, yeah, he'll be pleased with that one, I think. Pulled it out of the bag right at the end.
Yeah, riding solo tonight as well. His brother Junior's not here. So
I think they only had enough inverter power for one rig. So I asked whether they had a discreet family HLQ session before the race started. But I think, yeah, flip a coin between who got the drive, and it was Morgan McCall. So he needs to make it show, doesn't he? There's a bit more pressure when only one of you can drive and the other one's cheering you on, or maybe not if you're the other one.
Yeah, most people in the pits, although our pole man at the moment, or provisional pole mans are here, Essa is still out there pounding around, putting in the laps, not content with being 8.5 tenths up. Not sure if he's maybe doing just race prep or something.
I'm back with Morgan, because on his very next flying lap, he's 2/10 up again as he comes through the corkscrew, final 2 corners. He obviously had a superb last corner where he got 3/10 last time, so he needs to try and carry that through again to match it, otherwise he could lose it. So he's going in 2/10 up, and he's coming out 3/10 up. Another 3/10 here, so he might jump into second. He is indeed. He's up into second. Is Morgan McCall.
Excellent result for him right at the death. So of course the checkered flag is out, and most guys are already in the pits. I must say I'm surprised there hasn't been anyone else to challenge Essa at all. I mean,
no, 6/10 is a big gap, isn't it? Let's be honest, it's quite a big gap. Who's left? Byron Thompson is just up on his Delta by 1/10. I mean, you look at a 10th down here, it gain you 3 spots. Will he have enough time to finish it? I think he's the only one on a hot lap.
We've got 16th and 17th on a hot lap, so it's Thompson and Sterner.
Thompson was up, and he's lost it, unfortunately. 10th down, he's going to finish, so he won't improve.
Yeah, Sterner did the same thing, got very squirrely out of the last corner. Definitely not a track traditionally for the Astons. I don't know if the BOP has recently changed that, but certainly for the last few years, it has not been a happy hunting ground for the Aston Martins. So we'll have to see what they can do in the race.
Exactly that. So we're going to take a quick break while I sort my stream out, but as soon as we get back, we'll be ready for the start of this. So don't go anywhere. We'll see you in a minute. Okay, welcome back, everybody, for the start of this race at Laguna Seca, round 5 of the simGT Championship here at SimRace South Africa. And we got Zairessa's pretty dominant performance in qualifying, had him 6/10 up on the next best, Morgan McCall, that got second on the death, followed by Kieran Patterson in third place, Ross Bartle fourth, and Bashir Jadwat a little bit further down than possibly we're usually used to seeing him, but maybe in the Bentley that struggles on this circuit, fifth is still a good result. So there's our top 5.
Yeah, I'm expecting good things from Essa, but let's hope that we can have McCall pressuring him, certainly in the opening stages of the race, maybe force a little bit of a mistake, make it a bit interesting. Zahir certainly seems to have the measure of this track right now. Not a very long track either. 1 minute 20 as a lap time, pole lap time, so it's fairly quick. I expect quite a few laps.
Yeah, I think turn 1's he needs to send it like Max Verstappen around the outside, because it might be the only time he sees Zairessa. So we'll see whether Morgan McCall does that last of the late breakers. I think it'll be a tough ask on this particular turn 1 around the outside, but I feel like you've got to have a look. So will be interesting. Turn 1 for the lead. I just fear otherwise, if you let Essa go, he's gonna be gone. Tight little circuit though, back markers might play a factor, 31 cars on this grid. And once you get halfway through the race and those back markers start coming into play, it's going to be difficult to pass in places, I think.
Yeah, almost like a bit of a Bathurst, this track, where once you come up against a back marker, there are not that many places where it's very convenient to go through or let someone through.
Depends where you hit them, doesn't it?
Yeah, big time. Big time. Okay, so we're off on our formation lap. Of course, a fairly short track, so it won't take us too long to get round full formation lap, of course. And we're going to be looking to see who gets a good start, who's going to keep their nose clean, who's going to absolutely send it and try to win it on turn 1. There's always one.
There's always one. There's generally more than one, if we're honest, but there will at least be one. And that'll probably be towards the front. And then there'll be plenty at the back we probably miss, and we'll see it in instant reports tomorrow. Yeah. But yes, let's keep an eye out on these leaders. That's what's most important right at the start. Can someone take the jump on Zairessa? Very important that he gets across that line and gets his green flag without holding himself up, because, yeah, you want to get into that turn 1 and hug that inside line.
Yeah, our track is still currently optimum in conditions, 22 degrees air temperature, 28 degrees track temperature, so identical to what we ended on in qualifying. Alright, coming up and now down through the corkscrew. I see there is a bit of a gap forming between the leaders and sort of the mid-pack. Everybody's sort of bunching and closing and then filling out a gap again. I hope these guys all close up now towards the end of the lap.
It's been a bit of a theme for the season, that has, hasn't it? But they seem to have resolved it from race 1, where we had quite a few penalties issued at Nürburgring. But it's been all right since then.
See, a bunch of drivers sort of bombed all the way through, so I hope they all line up and find their right spot now. And see, reasonably chaotic, but we shouldn't be too bad.
Really being held up now as they bunch up into their positions. That last corner's tight to go through side by side. I'd be pretty wary there.
I mean, I think it's just more of a risk of letting the guys in front get away. You're seeing lots of people still warming up their brakes, warming up the tires, desperately trying to make sure they get a good start. It's a reasonable run down to turn 2. Which is effectively turn 1. But here we go.
Morgan McCall wants to start as close to Essa as he possibly can, so they come up towards this line and get a green light. There's still a gap back to Ross Bartle, who's can't improve on it because he's limited on his speed. But he's a bit of a gap there, and you've got Morgan McCall basically was side by side as they went across the line. He really is side by side as it goes into turn 1 here.
Going to try around the outside, just as you said.
He's got to have a look. He's going to have a look. Indeed he is. And he's right round the outside, but it's just such a long way round. Such a long way round, isn't it? Makes the corner twice the distance.
Not quite going to work, and it hasn't worked, but through turn 3 now, Essa has got a small gap, and you can see Patterson and Bartle battling there in 3rd and 4th.
And we've got Bashir Jadwat has dropped back behind, who is that? Christian Deploy, I think, managed to get the jump on Bashir Jadwat. So that was a good pass there from Christian.
Well, Bentley on Bentley action there. 3 Bentleys, in fact. Bashir Jadwat, then Christian Deploy, and finally Ross Bartle in fourth, who's still looking to try and get something on Patterson, while McCall is trying desperately to hang on to Essa, but Essa is so quick out the blocks.
Yeah, potentially.
Really is good.
Potentially that turn 1 pass, which, I mean, we knew he was going to do everything he possibly could to make an attempt there. That potentially could be the last time that Morgan McCall sees that green Porsche as it disappears. The gap already starting to form at the front. 6/10 is Essa got a lead over McCall through the last sector gate.
Ooh, someone spun. Who's spun? That's Endron Governor has spun through the corkscrew, and that's put him all the way down to the back of the grid, unfortunately. That really is a shame, but he is off and going again.
I doubt he'll be the last one through the corkscrew to take a little pirouette.
Yeah, definitely not. I'm looking once again. I think Bartle's about the closest. Bartle and then Jadwat. Those are the closest battle I see at the moment. As Patterson runs very wide on the exit. That brings me to my next point, which is, let's rewind quickly to Paul Ricard, where track limits was such a hot topic on around that track with huge runoff areas. So it was very, very strict. No such thing here at Laguna Seca because you have the death sand on the exit or an entry of every corner.
Yeah.
You really can't. So here we go. Bartle is really pressuring Patterson hard, but through I think that's turn 6. You can't. It's so difficult to run nose to tail through there. And Patterson actually took turn 6 much, much better and got himself a little bit of a gap. But then Bartle's now closed up heavily through the corkscrew. That Bentley really doing well through that tight section. And once again, look at the exit that he's getting, trying to go around the outside of Patterson. Patterson having to go extremely defensive, use the camber absolutely to his advantage. They come into turn 11, last turn around the track. But Patterson is still, our previous winner, remember, is still just keeping Bartle at bay.
He's
fantastic little scrap.
He's placing his car just where he needs to be, is he, Kieran Patterson? And like you said, Paul Ricard, you didn't lose any time for just keeping your foot in, did you? Because you'd just wash out and you'd be fine. Here, you have to lift because you know that you're going to lose monumental time if you just get out your line a little bit wrong. So I think that's the difference. So we'll definitely see more mistakes causing passes here. But a few less drive-through penalties, which is the way I prefer it, let's be honest. The amount of drive-throughs at Paul Ricard got a little bit out of hand.
Yeah, absolutely, but I think it's quite clear at the moment that Patterson is yet to find his rhythm, just not quite on the racing line. You can see as we came through that corner, and as we come up to turn 6 now, Bartle is once again all over the back of Patterson. So Patterson really struggling to get his rhythm right now. We'll have to see if that can change. Maybe it's tyres. Maybe they're not quite up to temperatures and pressures right now in that Ferrari. But it is allowing Deploy to join this battle. It's now almost a 3-way battle with Jadwat, who's having a little bit of for his standards, a bad race. And just able to hang on to this. But it is allowing Morgan McCall to scamper away in second place and just at the moment solidify that. So we've got a couple of other spinners as well. Who's that? 13.
Bentley's looking good on full fuel through the corkscrew. They look very composed.
Very.
Dare say a little bit more so than the Ferrari. Possibly when the Ferrari lightens its load a little bit, though, it might come back into its own window. But at the moment, certainly Ross Bartle looks extremely quick through that corkscrew section under heavy fuel load.
Yeah, absolutely. And I see Sas van der Westhuizen, our fellow commentator, had an incident I think self-made incident through the corkscrew, spun around, ended up in the gravel on the outside, and has finished all the way down in, I think, about 26th position now. So he went all the way from 13th, doubled his position, so to speak. So Sas has now got a bit of a battle on his hands.
Yeah, mistake in these early stages is just so costly, isn't it? You just tumble down the order and find yourself on a full recovery drive. Even though it's 90 minutes, it's hard to make that amount of spots back.
Yeah, you see, turn 6 is where Patterson really seems to have the advantage over Bartle, but then Bartle closes up through all of this other tight, twisty stuff. The Bentley really seems to love the nice camber, And I wonder if that's possibly the traits of these two cars. I wonder if that Ferrari, which let's remember was one of the quickest cars, if not the quickest car in a straight line at Paul Ricard, just not really able to use that straight line speed here at Laguna Seca. There aren't that many long straights.
No, not really, but we've had a question in chat of what's happened to Alan Patterson, so I jumped on board, and it doesn't look like anything good's happened to Alan Patterson, put it that way. He's got his bonnet that's buckled and twisted, and he's at last on the grid, so he's definitely seen a bit of action that we haven't, and he's on a recovery drive, and might even need to repair that.
Anymore. Janssen van Vieren has also had an incident at the corkscrew, so anybody spectating at the corkscrew right now is getting a bit of a lesson in spinning.
If you went to see a live event here, that's just all you just want to get a ticket to sit on the corkscrew, wouldn't you? I mean, 100%. That's the only place you'd want to be.
A bit like Spa, you just want to go sit at Eau Rouge.
Yeah, those tickets must be triple the cost of anywhere else on this circuit. If there is there somewhere that you can stand them? It doesn't look like there might not be, but yeah, you'd pin yourself up against the fence, just looking over the top of the corkscrew, on top of that hill, possibly. You get a good race.
Or if not, make sure you're one of the marshals.
Yes, I always get the best tickets, don't they? Marshals, that's what you want to do. Sign up as a marshal. Okay, where are we at the front? We've got Zairessa. We've only done a 4 laps, and he's 5-second lead. So, as we feared might be the case for the rest of us, is Morgan McCall might not see the back of that green 911 again.
Oh, Bartle's got an excellent exit. Sorry, Bartle's got a really good exit on the back of Patterson. He's going to try and do a McCall and go around the outside. Oh, there's a bit of contact. Bit of contact.
He's outbraked himself, hasn't he, I think, with a contact. And he's going to drop back behind Christian Deploy if he's not careful here, Ross Bartle. And he has done that indeed. He's lost a spot.
Yeah,
can he fight back on the inside?
Oh, no, he's going to give it a go.
Oh, back end come out, but he held it. A very good drive from Ross Bartle not to concede that position. Knows how vital it was to stay in front of Christian Deploy, because I don't think it would have been easy to get past again.
Definitely. Deploy doing exceptionally well. Bartle doing exceptionally well to have really good tight racing there. Oh, you see Deploy bouncing over those curbs. That did not seem to make the Bentley happy. And we've now got Sean Stradom all over the back of these guys, hoping to pick up at a piece of this pie and get some extra positions. As we've seen Bashir Jadwat drop down the order. He's now in 8th. We saw him all over the back of Christian Deploy. That's not happened. Well, that's not stuck around for long, certainly. And Bartle now has to recompose himself and try and get back on the rear end of Kieran Patterson and that Ferrari.
Yeah, we missed what happened to Bashir Jadwat there, didn't we? Because he's dropped down on his own, and he's now got... Who has he got? Heineke behind. No, he's got past Mark van Rensburg, so the leaderboard's not updated yet. So Bashir Jadwat's past Mark van Rensburg in the Porsche. Should go up into 7th place as he crosses the line, which he has indeed.
We've got an excellent battle at the moment in 16th position. We've got a BMW on a Lexus, on a Bentley, on a Aston. This is quite exciting at the moment, because the Lexus is making a few mistakes, and that's allowed who's that? Ronald Childs, I think, in the Bentley to catch up and try and put some moves on the Lexus, and it has given Christos Santos in the BMW, gave him a little bit of breathing room, because he was coming under some pretty heavy pressure from that Lexus. Oh, and as I say that, he just gets the tail out a la Bartle the previous lap, and once again that Lexus is licking its lips and trying to make a move.
Already what we've seen so far this evening is if you place your car in the right spots, you can make it incredibly difficult for the guy to pass. And we saw that from Kieran Patterson. Just cover that inside. It's a good track to defend on. I feel like you could keep a car behind quite a long time, even if they were a bit quicker than you. As long as you don't make a mistake and you just cover that inside, it's such a long way around the outside on nearly every corner here.
Yeah, speaking of, who's that? Wilson has just made a pretty big mistake.
I'll say he's about to reverse back on the corkscrew.
Oh, careful.
That was a nice little pirouette to get back on circuit there from Wilson.
Yeah, a good little J-turn, but I see Bartle is once again all over the back of Patterson. Just shows how much extra speed Bartle has around here, but he's just not able to make to make a move. After that little his first attempt where he tried to go around the outside through turn 2 just moments ago, he was down to about 2 seconds off the back of Patterson, and suddenly within what's that, maybe a lap and a half, the gap is once again well under a second, and he's looking to put the pressure on
was a
once
mistake
again.
there, but he
There's a
followed
big
him in.
mistake.
Bartle followed him in. They both went into the gravel, just dipped their tyres in. That was maybe Bartle's chance, although it takes a very brave man to send up the inside of the corkscrew. Kieran Patterson under a lot of pressure here from Ross Bartle. Bartle's going to have to go around the outside because Patterson's placing his car exactly where he needs to. Very, very defensive.
Yep.
And but it's a long way around the outside.
See how much speed Bartle can carry more than Patterson through these corners. Bartle having to brake mid-corner just to make sure he doesn't run into the back of Patterson. Bartle, of course, we've seen from the Touring Car Series and the Legends Series, more than happy to go wheel-to-wheel with drivers. Loves a good scrap, does Bartle. So he's going to be having the time of his life right now, except I think he's probably feeling like he's got the pace to catch McCall, so that might be giving him a little bit of frustration. As I see 14th place, Krista Santos has had an issue coming out the corkscrew and has fallen down to what looks to be a net 23rd position.
How many times have you said that already this evening? You mess up at the corkscrew, you lose 10 plus places, doesn't matter where you are. So yeah, just try and get through there cleanly. Again, we're seeing Kieran Patterson. I don't think you can drive defensively for an hour and 18 minutes, put it that way. So he's got to get a bit of pace from somewhere, whether that comes from lightening the load with fuel. You just hope that he gets a bit of relief, otherwise it's going to be a long, long night for Kieran Patterson with Ross Bartle and Sean Stradham not far behind. Either Bartle's
here we go.
Getting a little bit twitchy. He managed to hold it. He's really having a look around the outside here. Such a long way round, though.
Yeah,
now he's got the inside light. No, he hasn't.
He ran wide and caught some of the gravel. The camber of that corner is just... Oh, here we go. And the brakes, on the brakes, taps Patterson.
I think that's a bit of a tap there. He knew that he had to get the inside somewhere, and yeah, potentially Ross Bartle might be feeling a little bit of pain for that tomorrow, I think.
Yeah, we'll have to watch and see what happens, but I think, from his point of view, maybe he's going to be arguing, saying, well, I had the inside line, Patterson hadn't really covered it, and Bartle runs wide. He's going to lose 2 positions here. Deploy
I think that
is
may be just of
a little bit more.
He's thinking about that incident, isn't he? It just puts your concentration somewhere else, and then before you realise it, you've got guys behind you trying to poach it as well. Ross Bartle is Sean Stradham up into 3rd place. What a race he's having in the Aston.
Yeah, so much for the Aston being terrible around here. He's having a fantastic race. Ross almost loses it on the exit of, what was that, turn 5, I think. And now Deploy is all over the back of him again. Bartle just really needs to compose himself after that incident with Patterson and find his rhythm once again, because again he finds himself in 4th position.
It's a bit of a rhythm circuit here, isn't it? You haven't got a camel straight to suddenly settle down, collect your thoughts, look at the delta, work out where you are. You're always going into a corner, so if you lose that rhythm, you lose your line, you can get yourself into some big trouble here.
Yeah, Peter Heldenay is pointing out that Hugo's gone from, 18th to 12th. Hugo de Wit having a great race at the moment in the Lexus, kind of profiting from people around him having issues at the corkscrew. So,
you jump on board and a Porsche just absolutely careens off. Is that Herb? Stefan's off into the gravel.
No, it's his turn to lose 10 places. You make a mistake here.
Yeah, he's definitely going to come back on several places down. Yeah,
He'll be 18th, I think.
Keep it out of the dust, people. You've got to keep it on the tarmac here. Anyone that gets remotely onto that gravel is curtains.
And Hugo de Wit gains another place from being nice and consistent in that Lexus. So almost into the top 10 is Hugo de Wit. So that's fantastic. Fantastic from his point of view.
Someone who is in the top 10 is Dwayne Hall in the McLaren. Just nice to ride on board with a different car. I love the look of that McLaren. I've said it so many times, probably every single round. But Dwayne's had a bit of a on and off season, I think it's fair to say. We've seen a bit of action in that McLaren over the rounds, but it's looking nice, clean and tidy at the moment, and he's got clean air around him. So don't want to jinx it, but let's hopefully check back later in with Dwayne Hall and see the paint that's all still nice and fresh on that 720S, because it's a great looker.
Yeah, speaking of not fresh paint, Bartle... Oh, hello. Who's that? Straydom has made a mistake. Bartle is going door to door with Straydom around turn 11. Ross gets the wider exit, but it doesn't look like it's given him better drive out the corner. Ross is right in the slipstream of that Aston, though. He's pulled out, looking for a better line through turn 2. Takes a very, very wide line going in. Cuts back in hard, but he's not able to do anything about Sean Straydom. And once again, the status quo is restored. Bashir Jadwat is now up to 6th and on the back of this train as well. So Bash is having a bit of a recovery drive by his standards and looking to profit from any mistakes that these guys are making. And there are certainly a few mistakes happening here and there.
Yeah, just thinking of Bashir Jadwat, I was about to mention the fact that he seems to jump back from 8th to 6th, and he's right on the tail of these guys that just, for me, Bartle is just a little bit inconsistent, isn't he? He's certainly got the pace. We saw that he's got that, but I think he's maybe trying to force it a touch too much. Too many taps into the gravel for my liking, really.
Yeah, and how's this? Zahir Essa already coming up against back markers. Lapping, who's that? Lapping Waldo Swiggers in 30th place, although Waldo has done his pit stop very early, so Waldo must have had some issues in that Aston.
That's a 12-second lead after 12 laps. I mean, that is a dominant performance from Zahir Essa in first place. Morgan McCall is 12 seconds back, over 12 seconds now, so it's going to be a pretty lonely race for Morgan McCall as it stands, unless something drastic happens at the corkscrew. It can always happen on this circuit.
I just can't take my eyes off this battle for third at the moment. Going on board with Sean Straydom, but looking at the rear wing camera, you can see just the problem that Sean has. There's, this is a real train of cars. He's got a train of Bentleys behind him, but he's doing exceptionally well, keeping calm, carrying on, and not letting those big boatlies get too much into his psyche at the moment.
And they look good, the Bentleys, in race trim. They have done all season, but they obviously struggled here a little bit for outright pace. But you go into a full race with full fuel, and they look very, very composed. And 3 of them behind as we ride on board with Sean Straydom through his rear wing. And you've got Ross Bartle, and any mistake, you can see 2 more drivers ready to poach as well. Right back to Bashir Jadwat, and Chris Heinecker even is still in view in the other Porsche.
Yeah, coming through the corkscrew there on the rear wing camera is quite a view. You can see the sort of forces that are going through these cars. Bartle taking a much better line through the second last corner.
He's going to switch back on the last corner. He likes this corner for a pass. He wants to. You just can't do it on the outside. He's got to do it on the inside. You really can't. But if you do it up the inside, you could run the risk of just tapping the guy in front, which we've seen already, haven't we? So Bartle's going to try and get an inside line, but look how close Christian Deploy is as well.
Yeah, he's all over the back of him, and Jadwat, even Jadwat's outbraked himself, I would say. He's run very wide, and that's going to allow Heinecker to have a look in the Porsche, and Bash has even put his wheels into the dirt. Heinecker licking his lips there, but unable to make a move right now. But it has allowed the status quo to once again be resumed. Bartle running wide there. I think he clipped the gravel.
So easy to do when you're pushing. When we briefly switch to Essa through turn 6, he clips the gravel almost every lap anyway. So obviously you can take a very small amount of it for sure, but it's yeah. I don't think you can take that much, Straydom. I think that's more than you can take as we have a look up the inside for the corkscrew, and Bartle's going to get the pass.
That's done.
It's got to be done before the entrance of the corkscrew, really, hasn't it? Because you're not going to do it through it.
No, exactly. And Deploy is going to be absolutely chomping at the bit to try and get past Straydom. Clearly these Bentleys are quicker than the Aston right now, and he's going to be desperate to not let Bartle scamper away, which already he's looking to do. So Bartle is now going to try and chase down Morgan McCall, although the gap between them, what's that going to be, 10 seconds, 12 seconds? We'll see as he comes across the line. Between them 10 seconds.
9.6,
yeah. So we'll have to watch that gap, monitor it, but it's now Christian Deploy up to try and take on the Sean Straydom challenge.
Yes, but Sean Straydom's having a fantastic race in the Aston. Yeah. He's really fighting with some proper big names in these Bentleys, so he's going to be pretty stoked when he gets to see that he's covering so much stream time as a result of it. But if you race this well, you will find yourself on stream more often than not. Bashir Jadwat now putting a bit of pressure on Christian Deploy. in his
say,
recovery
Deploy's
try.
not even really putting that much pressure onto Stradom. He's more having to defend from Jadwat, and Jadwat's even making a few mistakes through turn 5 there. I've seen it a couple of times where he's just run a little bit wide. Very uncharacteristic from him.
Yeah, perhaps he hasn't had quite as much time to prep for this one, possibly. But a race win is not necessary, is it, for him? He just knows that he's got to be up there in the points, and it's so easy to make a mistake, and we've seen it already, drop back 10, 15 spots from a spin, rather than just stay there. As he looks around the outside of Christian Deploy, he's covering that inside line, should be enough.
Yeah, we've seen the, I think running onto that green stuff on the right-hand side doesn't give you a particularly good run. You'll now see Heineke in the Porsche closing in on Jadwat, much more than Jadwat's closing in on Deploy as we go into turn 2. I saw that so often when Bartel was trying it. It's obviously tempting to try go around the outside, carry a bit more speed, theoretically get a better exit, but it just doesn't seem to happen, and I'm pretty convinced it's that green concrete that's causing that problem. It's just a bit slippery.
I think you're right. I think drivers are under so much pressure as well. They're driving and they know how important it is to cover these inside lines and make guys go around the outside. They're actually compromising their own driving line, certainly affecting their lap time.
Vash has done it again through turn 5. He's just run a little bit wide. I've seen him do it 3 laps
even wider on turn 6. This could be enough for Heineke to have a look on the inside of the corkscrew.
He's going to go for it. He's definitely going to go for it. There's no ways Heineke is not going to go for this.
Abreast through the corkscrew. That was brave from Bashir Jadwat to actually just hold on to that.
And excellent driving from both guys. Wow, that was impressive, guys. That was impressive. Well done, both of you.
That's a game of chicken right there. Entrance to the corkscrew. One of you's got a lift, and it was Chris Heineke that lifted. Bashir Jadwat was like, no, this is my corner. But they were side by side on the entrance. Still, they're both through and they're facing the right way. That's exactly what I want to see here. And it's a good showing from Chris Heineke in this Porsche. Starting to put a bit of pressure on Jadwat. It's got to try and keep it on the black stuff and not dip those wheels into the gravel anywhere. Lose so much time. You see how far they've dropped back. In
11th position, we have Hugo de Wit and Sean Bingham having a proper ding-dong battle here. That's Lexus on Aston as Sean just goes right around the outside but outbrakes himself.
I was going to say that looked too easy, and then you suddenly saw why, because he was going far too fast into the braking zone.
And now Ronald Childs is having Sean for breakfast here.
Yeah, just poached
no
it.
Problem.
He might lose 2 here. What's happened to Brett Crocombe? I'm not seeing him all night. Right back into 14th spot. What's happened to your teammate?
I'm honestly not sure. I'm wondering if this track just doesn't suit Brett, and maybe it suits Sean a lot more. All those close chaps. There's an accordion if I've ever seen one, and Sean getting very wiggly route on exit.
When you've got the academy team driver in front of you against the main works team, if you like, surely Brett Crocombe might get a little slap of the wrist from the team principal, Matthew Boyd. I'm just putting it out there. I mean, what's going on? Sean Bingham might get an upgrade next season if he's not careful. His seat could be up for grabs.
Absolutely.
He could be retired to Toro Rosso if he doesn't sort it out, Brett. I don't think he's a fan of Laguna Seca, is he? I think I heard him earlier saying he wasn't getting on so well with his circuit.
Yeah, just watching his lines through the corkscrew, slightly different to most other people, and I wonder, as you say, if he's just not that comfortable around here. Oh, and running wide there as well, and touching some gravel. So I think it's a bit of a combination. I think Sean's just having a pretty darn good race right now, and I think Brett's struggling.
It's a little bit one of those circuits that I feel like the guys that absolutely love it are the ones that have driven so many laps here from umpteen amounts of sims going all the way back to the original PlayStation, that they like it because it's familiar, and then the people maybe not quite so experienced that maybe dropped in just can't stand it. So I don't know, maybe a bit of a confidence builder that you need to build your confidence on the circuit to really commit to some of these corners, especially that corkscrew.
I'd agree there. So we've got Stefan Herbst in 16th place, trying to attack Flip van Sale, Bentley on Porsche, or Porsche on Bentley, and Yeah, that's quite a close little battle, this one. Porsche should have excellent drive out of turn 5. Here it goes. Look at that. Look at that. Is he going to have a look up into turn 6? That would be absolute madness. Surely not. He backs out of it.
Yeah, if you try and go in turn 6, one of you's hitting that sausage curve for sure.
Yeah, and it's compromised his exit as well. We've now got Fenter diving up the inside of the corkscrew, having a look, forcing
he's got it.
to go
Great
around the outside.
opportunistic pass there from Venter on the corkscrew. Great pass.
Yeah, very well done. Very well done. And now Fenter's looking to be all over the back of Flip Van Sail. So saying thank you very much, my friend. You made a little bit of a mistake. Don't have a look through turn 6, but I'll have the position from you and hopefully have another one in a moment or two.
Just a name that grabbed my attention was the fact that Alan Patterson's damaged BMW has worked its way back up from 23rd spot, and he hasn't gone into repair, so he's behind his teammate in Chris DeSantos in the other BMW.
We do have a pitter.
Aldo Swiggers is pitted in 28th.
No, we do have somebody in the pits
someone
right
else.
now. 21st at this point. I see DeSantos and Patterson are now running line astern as well, so that's...
Yeah, slightly damaged looking Lexus in the pits, possibly getting a bit of repair work done.
Okay, so we've got 15. Oh, here we go. I think he's done it. It does look like Fenter has in fact done it and taken through turn 5 of all places, gone around the outside, and Fenter moves up a place from Flip Van Sail, who's now got who's that? Herbst all over the back of him again. Herbst is going to try and go up the inside of the corkscrew once more. Takes a much narrower line, brakes way later in that Porsche. That's impressive. The Bentley's good on the brakes, but somehow managed to outbrake him in the Porsche and flies through on the corkscrew. Excellent move there from Mr. Herbst in the Porsche.
I mean, the Porsche just looks so much smaller than the Bentley. It's like it's an unfair class, isn't it? Like a little wasp coming up the inside of that massive, great big Arctic truck. That Bentley looks a little bit cumbersome at the top of the hill, and a more nimble 911 possibly. Might explain some of the additional pace that this 911's seeing tonight, as Zaya Ressa is just completely and utterly checked out at the front. He's averaging a second a lap quicker than anybody else. 18-second lead over Morgan McCall.
Flip Van Sail is a little bit of a moving chicane at the moment. I mean, we've got, I see Alexis, who's that? Is that Wesley Ferrand having a proper moment through the gravel? But, you know, we've had Herbst and Fenter take Van Sail in the last couple of laps. And now we've got Janneman Prius lining up with Ferrand, lining him up afterwards. So it's almost like Flip Van Sail's a little bit out of position here, and we've got much quicker drivers coming up on him. Oh, hello. You're not going to go through turn 6 there, Mr. Ferrand. Not a chance.
I don't know. With Wesley, he might have a go.
I'm sure Wesley will be keen for a go, but it's just not going to work, I'm afraid.
I think I've lost Wesley's Stormtrooper skin because he's in a regular Lexus skin on my screen.
Yeah,
so
me too.
I think I need to. I possibly haven't done a skin update there, so apologies for that one.
We have a spinner. Who is that? 14th? Was 14th?
Don't
no, it's
name and shame.
Fenter. It's Fenter. We've had a spinner. That's a real shame because he's now dropped down to 20th place. So Mr. Fenter, who gained all of those positions, is now going to have to work his way back. He'd done so well.
Yeah, he's coming into the pits as well, so possibly he thinks he's got a bit of damage, or he's coming in anyway. So,
it's an hour in.
He hits the wall on the inside of the pit entrance as well. I do remember the pit entrance being very, very tight here. Possibly he's got some damage he's got to repair.
This is still a really good battle. Ferrand, Prius, and Van Sail. And Ferrand is really attacking Prius hard. Prius definitely quicker than Van Sail, but he's just having to do so much defending against Ferrand at the moment that it is giving Van Sail a tiny amount of breathing room. And Ferrand gets an excellent run out of turn 5, but so does Prius, and now Van Sail is under a huge amount of pressure, and I think that is the leader coming up behind him.
Yes, it is. I was just about to say they're all just about to be lapped by Zaya Essa, so he's lapped up to 17th spot now. So they're having a real battle in front, and Essa's trying to make his way through clean. He's going to struggle here, I think.
Yeah, and this is what we were talking about at the start of the race, that you're going to come up against back markers at really awkward times. I mean, obviously Essa has plenty of time in his back pocket right now, but when is he going to make a move to try and get through on these three? I see Ferrand has backed off a little bit. So
he's going to let him through here, I think. Yeah, he's braked early.
There we go. So I think that might be fairly tactical from Ferrand. I think he will now assume that Essa is not going to be able to catch these guys on the straight, and they're going to have to let him through or give an opportunity to make a move at a bit of an awkward time, and that might, in the long run, give Ferrand a bit of a go. You see, there we go, having to go around the outside.
I think that's the thing, isn't it? You never want to relinquish too much time when you're in a battle like this. And Ferrand's looking up the inside here. He might get this pass done. He has indeed. Very well done there.
Longer game from Ferrand, really excellently well done. Just took the pain at a more convenient spot, and that really has paid off for him.
Yeah. I mean, it's just that's what it's all about. You can't refuse to lose any time whatsoever, but you've just got to hope that you don't lose as much as the guy in front, haven't you? So you're just trying to do as most convenient spot as you possibly can, and maybe going super late.
Look at this.
Not Ferrand's gone wide onto the gravel.
Oh, do you see? That was a huge opportunity because Habst had let Essa through just before turn 6 and had to take a very slow and narrow line. So really, that was a huge opportunity as well for Ferrand. But as he said, just clipped the gravel there and it didn't pay off. But the battle does now once again resume.
Where else have we got? Bashir Jadwat is pretty close in 6th spot. He's got someone... No, he's up behind Christian Employer, so that's changed. So non-live leaderboards has screwed me over once again because that's not 0.6 of a second. So I think Bashir Jadwat's had a mistake.
Krookamp in 12th is doing exceptionally well against Hugo de Wit right now. He is 1/10 behind him. I'm on board with Krookamp, and he's looking up the inside. Krookamp clearly got a little bit of damage on that bonnet. It is flapping all over the place, but he's not going to let this go. And Krookamp does actually make that position up on Hugo de Wit and slides his way into 11th position. Let's see if he can now start to attack.
I was just wondering where the sister team was in Sean Bingham, who's on my screen and has left the server, I believe.
Oh, no.
Because I was thinking, well, did Krookamp jump him or has he gone? So he's frozen on my timing screens and I can't select him. So that generally means he's left the server. So whether someone like Krookamp thought, well, hold on a minute, I don't want to be Toro Rosso, get that guy off. So he may have been kicked from the server by the main team. But anyway, Krookamp's up into 10th.
You're painting point blank in a very dictatorial fashion.
Oh, it is. We're talking Mussolini is the leader. No, sorry, Matthew boy, I'm sure you're a lovely guy. No, that's just unusual to see Krookamp so far down. That's actually a compliment to his driving this season. He's been exceptional. I think he won the last round of the TCR Championship, if I wasn't mistaken.
No, Legends.
Legends. Yep. That was it. I know he took a win. Dominated. So he's done very, very well.
Yep, 100%. Chris DeSantos and Alan Patterson pretty close to each other. I think is that Bartle making his way through? Yes, that's what it is. Bartle making his way through. The PWSR boys. BMW on BMW action though. These guys are pretty close to each other. 21st and 20th.
We've been keeping an eye on our commentary battle between Sas van der Westhuizen and Alan Patterson, and Sas van der Westhuizen has also left the server, unfortunately. So
I think Escom is playing havoc tonight.
Yeah, so he had a bit of a drop back at the start, but he's no longer on the track right now, so that's a shame.
Yeah, so I know Sas is just down the road from me, and I don't think we've got any power at the moment, so yeah, I think it could be the same issue. Oh, I see Bashir Jadwat once again putting his wheels into the gravel, this time at turn 4, and again running wide through turn 5. What is it with turn 5 and Bashir Jadwat? But it is allowing Chris Heineke once again to close up on the back of him, but that's not a place to overtake through turn 6. Heineke knows it, and he doesn't even make the attempt. He doesn't get as good a drive up the hill as Bashir Jadwat, and once again has to slot in behind. But I'm kind of backing Heineke at this stage to take Bash, just because of the mistakes we're seeing from him tonight. Very uncharacteristic.
Yeah, just struggling at Laguna Seca, as so many drivers are that you wouldn't expect. It's a little bit like Brett Crewcamp we're talking earlier. It's so solid all season. It's just a bit of a polarising circuit, I think, and just some guys that are naturally quick elsewhere just struggling a little bit more here. And possibly the machinery as well doesn't help, as Chris Heineke looks very tight behind Bashir Jadrat right now, looking solid in that 911.
See, running a little bit wide, not actually wide, no, that's the Porsche, I think, is just much better through turn 2. And look at that, he's just able to close up through these tighter, twistier corners that I really hate, and I think it probably just suits the Porsche so well, those corners, because you need excellent drive on the exit of those flat corners, and I think the Porsche just able to do really well there, whereas the Bentley is much better through the cambered corners. And we see Heineke running wide there, and now losing out. Quick update on the Bartle trying to catch McCall. Ooh, who is that running wide?
Yeah, Bartle has clawed back a bit of time, 7.7 seconds from McCall. It was 9.5, wasn't it? It's only 2 seconds, but it's slowly getting there.
And Bartle has just worked his way through a whole bunch of traffic. There was sort of 20th, 27th, 21st.
He had a slow last lap. He was 2 seconds slower on the last lap. So I think the gap was actually less before.
Right. There we go. Goodness, is that... Okay, so Essa is coming up to lap Crowcamp at the moment. And that's 11th position already. We're not even halfway through the race.
No, it's absolutely ridiculous, really. It's like a different category, isn't it? He's really got that Porsche hooked up as Essa at Laguna Seca, and we got 53 minutes to go, so still a significant amount of time. He could lap the field at this rate. If it's not careful.
LMP1 car, this is ridiculous.
So we're looking towards a pit window in the next 7 or 8 minutes. Generally, people seem to split strategy and just go 50-50, but we'll see.
Yeah, I'm not expecting anything fancy around Laguna Seca. We are currently... Although, hang on. We haven't paid attention to this. Air temperature is 19, which is now down by 3 degrees. But track temperature is down to 22 degrees, and it was 28 degrees when we started the race just over half an hour ago. So we have lost 6 degrees.
So would that be enough to want you to take a tyre change so you can adjust pressures in your pit window? I think it would be.
I think definitely, yeah, absolutely. And what I think these guys are going to have tested, and what I'd be exceptionally worried about if I hadn't done enough testing, is, at what point
do you
is
change
the
those
right
pressures?
point to pit?
Yeah.
Yeah, because, hang on, speaking of, Bashir Jadrat is in the pits, had enough of looking at the back of Christian Deploy, trying the undercut.
We've seen the undercut is exceptionally strong all season, and it might be a good move here for Bashir Jadrat to pit early, get those tyres that he wants at the right pressures to cope with these dropping track temperatures. As you'd expect in the desert, the temperatures just would fall off a cliff, wouldn't they, as you go into the evening session?
Yeah, definitely. So I would be nervous, and look, Bash knows exactly what he's doing. We've seen him win many races in the past, so it will be interesting to see how this plays out. But with the sun starting to set, I would be worried that this track temperature is going to absolutely plummet. So possibly Bash has worked out what he needs to do with his tyres.
Yeah, so just to remind our viewers that obviously we're working at a 3 times progression here. So, we've only got 51 minutes of race time left, but there's still 2 hours 20 minutes of sim time left. So, that can make a much bigger change to track temperatures than just the 51 minutes would lead you to believe, which is why we're seeing such a quick drop-off.
Yeah, agreed. I see Morgan McCall is working his way through a bunch of back markers at the moment, and that's really allowed Ross Bartle to catch up. He was about 5.6 seconds behind last lap. This lap, 5.1. So, I mean,
it just tends to balance out as when he's got to pass the markers himself, hasn't he? So it's always a... Yeah, I mean, sometimes you always feel like you get unlucky as a driver, always. Whenever you're in an endurance race, you think, they're just getting absolutely screwed with traffic. And in reality, it's by the end of the race, it tends to be a bit of a wash.
Habst, I think he was in about 12th position, had a moment on his own, and that has allowed a few drivers to skip through. He's now in 15th place, and he's got
Paul Venter, I think.
Yes. Does look like Fenter's car.
Yeah, I think it is. Or no, it's not. It's the same livery as Venter, but I don't...
Wilson? It's Wilson. It's Wilson who goes through. Lots of people looking to jump through now. There's a whole cluster of people. Patterson in 18th position now. Really profiting from some people's misfortune. Paul Venter, of course, has taken his pit stop. Bashir Jadwat, our highest running pit stopper so far, is up in 11th position with Ronald Childs all over the back of him. I do wonder if Bashir Jadwat is taking a bit of pain right now on those tyre pressures, but we'll have to see. We'll have to see. Track temperature down to 21 now, so in the last 2 minutes it's lost another degree. So I'm really expecting this temp to come down. I'm going to take a guess here, Dan. I'm going to say 16, 15,
we've got Bartle
degrees.
and Christian Deploy as are pitted, so we're getting a few more of our top guys to pit early. But I mean, maybe a few minutes early, but not exceptionally early. 49 minutes left to go in this race.
Bunch of people. Herbst is in the pits as well. Holzhazen in 25th is in the pits. Got lots of pitters right now. It's I'm really surprised at how early these guys are pitting. I really am.
Yes, just need to start looking at the times of what people are doing. Last time out, Essa was a 1:22.6.
Bartle's off and going again. I think Essa's going to lap him here. If I was Bartle, I would be hoping that happens. You don't want to have to let the leader through and lose more time.
I want to look at Bashir Jadwat in particular as he crosses the line, because he'll be the first one to do a flying lap on new rubber. Is he going to be there around the 1:22, 1:21 mark? He crosses the line, he is a 1:22.9, so not any quicker than what he was doing before. Obviously, we don't know whether he had traffic to deal with or whatnot, but we'll keep an eye on him. This is only his second flying lap, so tyres should be more in the window. So he's the one that we need to look at to see whether this undercut is going to be anything substantial or not.
Yeah, Bartle as well. We should also... I know he's a few laps behind in terms of being on fresh rub. He's just come out now. He's on his out lap, but he's kind of our front-running Bentley. Jadwat having struggled somewhat, although Jadwat is now right behind Ross Bartle. So that's interesting. Deploy, where's Deploy? Why is Deploy so far down?
Yeah.
So Jadwat has jumped Deploy.
It has pitted, it has worked. And I'm just looking at Deploy, his out lap was 2:17. He took a long pit stop. He was 5 seconds slower than Ross Bartle in the pits.
Ah, that's why. So it's not the undercut being super powerful.
No, he lost 5 seconds in the pits, and that is that's a big jump. So whatever he's done, whether he's overfueled a little bit or whatever he's done, the pit stop's 5 seconds slower than Ross Bartle's pit stop.
Yeah, and he's now stuck behind Ronald Childs, so he's much quicker than Childs' Deploy, but and he's on fresh rubber. But of course, we've seen overtakes being very, very difficult here. Deploy tries to go around the outside. Childs gives him a huge amount of room. Deploy has to go onto the slippery green cement, but it doesn't matter. The new rubber does seem to have helped for Deploy, and he's up into 10th position.
Very slow lap though, dealing with back markers. 1:27. He lost 5 seconds to Jadwat in that lap alone.
Sure. Right,
so the undercut is definitely being powerful enough. And yet Heineke in the pits on the Porsche. First Porsche to blink. Hertz is also in the pits. Adam Patterson in the pits has just left as well.
We don't see too many battles out on track at the moment. A lot of people, almost everybody has pitted now. It's just our front runners really who haven't.
Yeah.
First down to 7th, Dwayne Hall. Checking in on McLaren is in the pits now.
It'll be interesting to see how much ground Ross Bartle and Bashir Jadwat can make up with their early pit stops and the undercut of these other guys going a little bit longer. Just going to check out lap times.
So remember, McCall had to go through all of those back markers, and Bartle pitted before he had to go through that clump. So he was exactly 5.1 behind McCall.
Bartle's just crossed the line, 1:22.1. To give you a bit of context, that's a second and a half quicker than the likes of Mark van Rensburg, Kieran Patterson, Sean Strider, and Morgan McCall in front of him. So he's lapping 1.5 seconds quicker than the people in front. So the undercut could be very, very strong here. Bashir Jadwat also in the 22.6 is a second quicker than the top 5.
Okay, and the track temperature is now at 20 degrees Celsius, so it is coming down pretty quickly. We're probably losing a degree every 3 or 4 minutes now.
So an opportunity to reset pressures in that pit stop, possibly got them back into that window that's really gaining them time here. If they do a lot of laps here, we could see Bashir Jadwat and Ross Bartle undercutting into the podium positions even.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, even if your pressures are a bit skewed by the end, that's okay, because as we've seen, once you've got track position, it's so easy to defend here.
Halfway through, not over yet.
Exactly that, yeah. Track position and just holding that inside line is so vital. So I think that might explain the early pit stops, certainly from Bashir Jadwat, who just seemed to come in earlier than he probably needed to. So Mark van Rensburg is yet to pit, but yeah, it's not quick. 124 flat in his last lap, dealing with a little bit of traffic, but that's 1.6 seconds slower than Ross Bartle behind. So definitely expecting Bartle and Jadwat to make places here after this pit window closes.
What sort of lap times is Morgan McCall doing? Because he's just had to make his way through yet another gaggle of back markers.
So he just refreshed on the line at a 1:23.8, which is
2 seconds slower.
Nearly
3 seconds.
No, it's 1.3 behind Bartle's last lap.
All right, so he's not losing too much behind the back markers, but it is definitely a factor. So Bartle, just having a look where he is on track, has got a huge amount of free air. The guy in front of him,
Stridham's in the pits, so he's one of our top 3 or 4 that have first to blink.
Yes, he is. So Stridham is, as you say, in the pits in 5th. Bartle has just gone through the corkscrew, coming down through to turn 10 now. I do fully expect him to go past. But the point I'm trying to make here is that Essa in the pits. Essa was the man ahead of Bartle, so really that's kind of clean air that Ross has been in. So in terms of catching Morgan McCall, this to me is looking very promising for Bartle.
Yeah, I think McCall wants to come in sooner rather than later, to be honest. I might not be aware that he's got guys behind him lapping substantially quicker, but he goes past the pit entrance lane once more around the final corner, and he will take the lead of this race, or will he? He will indeed.
Yes, he will.
Essa's still in the pits, we see him in the background. So Morgan McCall is provisionally in the lead, which might feel all well and good for a lap or two, but he doesn't realise the real push that Bartle and Jadwat behind posed to him. And potentially, it sounds outrageous, but potentially could even be fighting him for a second place.
Yeah, exactly. Essa in the pits, Van Rensburg in the pits, De Wit in the pits, Wilson and Ferrand all in the pits, and Sterner all in the pits.
Kieran Patterson going long. He went long for the last race, which he won as well, I believe. Yeah, so he likes to just absolutely go long.
What's his lap times looking like at the moment?
He's 1:23.2. Not terrible, but yeah, Ross Bartle just went through 1:22.1, so 1.1 seconds quicker. I mean, you do enough of those laps. I don't think the gap was that substantial, was it?
5 seconds. It was 5 seconds. We'll see how.
I think he might. I think he's gained it already. I mean, Yeah, I think he's probably got it quite comfortably as Ross Bartle. We've seen this all season, haven't we? I can't remember which race it was. Was it the first round at Nürburgring? I think it was also Bartle that pitted early, went behind a whole train of Bentleys and managed to jump 3 or 4 spots by the time the pit window was over.
He did the same at Alton Park, didn't he? He used it to a great effect. Was it Alton Park?
I thought it was Nürburgring in round 1. Yeah, I think so. Stand to be corrected, but we've definitely seen it play out a few times this season where if you're stuck behind a group of cars, take your pit stop early and work on the undercut.
Okay, so McCall's in the pit. Bartle does seem exceptionally far behind. He's only going through turn 6 right now. I think it's going to be close. This is going to be really, really close. It's
a very slow pit stop, though. We're talking an outlap of 2 minutes 18, 2 minutes 17 compared to a 1:21.
Corkscrew.
So yeah, you're losing sort of 45 seconds. Nearly. Here you go. Scott McCall is leaving, so McCall should be able to gain out in front still.
I think so, but it's going to be close, and I reckon. I don't know. Hang on, that's a very long pit lane exit. Remember, you've got to take a weirdly tight line. I think Ross has got this. I reckon Ross has got this.
Oh. I think McCall
Can
would
be
be
close.
livid.
Yeah, I think it's done. Easy. No problem. Look at that.
Yeah, what an
Last
undercut.
spot.
I mean, just that is a demonstration of the power of the undercut. We've got Division 2 drivers watching now, live in chat, no doubt, thinking, well, I'm going to pit on lap 2.
Yeah.
Just whatever happens, I'll come straight out, I'll pit. Because, yeah, that undercut's worth a good chunk of time.
And I mean,
now-
that's what the short lap at Laguna Seca 120s and a very long pit straight. So you come into the pits and it's quite short to get in your box, but then you've got to trundle all the way down through all the way down to turn 2. It's not that simple.
Yeah, that
So,
out lap, like
yeah.
I said, it's like 2 minutes 17. It's very, very slow. It takes a huge amount of time. Pit's hard to get into as well. You go in slowly, you come out slowly. Everything about it is slow. And Bartle coming in probably, what was he, 6, 7 laps early? It wasn't a huge amount, probably 6, 7 laps, I would have thought. And yeah, it's got him up into the podium spots quite comfortably. I mean, he's net second now, isn't he? Because Kieran Patterson's still to pit, who will
Correct.
get jumped easily. Will get jumped, probably get jumped by Jadwat as well. McCall's drop down. It will be a net third spot.
I would actually say that Bartle has gained on Essa. In terms of time as well, overall time, they look very close.
I'll put it out there that Ross Bartle probably needs to get a good chunk of time behind him because he could effectively have a little penalty to serve if it gets reported. I'm just wondering whether that's in the back of his mind at all, whether he thinks that possibly he might need to try and get a gap. But he has got a nice gap as it stands.
I was actually looking at the wrong cars. It's not. It's. I was looking at Essa on Patterson. They're very, very close together. So sorry, that was my bad. No, definitely Ross is still way behind Essa. But as you say, the gap between McCall and Bartle needs to be extended.
Yeah, he's got to try and get himself a nice, comfortable 10-second cushion, I would have thought. Just to try and be safe for a potential investigation that could very well be
We've
lost.
got Patterson in the pits.
I think Patterson's might be a little bit upset with where he comes out here, probably thinking he's having a great race, and there's nothing more demoralising when you think you've done nothing wrong whatsoever, and then you come out and you think, well, how did I lose 2-3 spots?
I think he's going to be battling with Heineke, who's currently in 8th position and going through turn 6 right now, although Patterson will have to just do a splash and dash in comparison on fuel. But look at that. Look how quick. He's already moving. He's already on the move. So actually...
hasn't done tyres or anything, has he, Patterson? So
I don't think so.
He may be making a bit of a risk here, trying to run the 37 minutes without anything but a quick splash and dash, which worked out perfectly for him in the last round.
I think him and Jadwat are going to be side by side. Actually, no. I think, he'll be fine. He'll be fine. Jadwat is only starting to enter turn 2 now. So, yeah, Patterson taking a risk, as you say, in 3rd overall, 4th, now.
Yeah, so everyone's pitted, so he found himself net 4th. So he's still lost out to the undercut, but just not quite so much because he had such a short pit stop. But whether that will come back and haunt him a little bit as we get towards the end of this race, we'll wait to find out with Bashir Jadwat behind him, who's still quite a long way behind, actually, 5.3 seconds. I don't know whether that's correct or not until they go through a timing split. Looks like it probably is. So Morgan McCall is 2.3 seconds behind Ross Bartle, and I think Bartle is... I mean, S's lead is just absolutely dominant, isn't it? I'm waiting. It still says +1, so I'm thinking, well, what is it? Let's go on board with Ross Bartle. He's still got 3 corners to go. And here he comes to cross the line where we'll get to see what the gap actually is to Zayesa. It's a lot. It's such a big amount. They just gave you a gap. They're just like, no, doesn't fit in this box. Yeah, it's a good chunk anyway. It's nearly half a lap.
Yeah, so Essa is about to enter the corkscrew and Bartle's going through turn 3.
Yeah, it's half a lap. The gap is half a lap, which is pretty impressive.
But I mean, Bartle has been impressive himself this race, as I say, so he goes into the gravel. But
I feel like it could have been better, though. Yeah, I mean, he's got the pace, but we've just seen a few errors come in. But possibly that might be a result of his immense pace. I mean, really, really pushing. And, that not necessarily errors, just being on the limit and just crossing over the limit on a couple of occasions.
Quick McLaren check-in. Dwayne Hall is in 10th
Is it clean?
position right
It's
now.
still. Look at it. It's sparkling, remarkable. And it's in resale condition. So yeah, we'd like to see that. He's got 35 minutes to try and get that 720 into the top 10 and stay there. He's already in it. He just needs to stay there. And Brett Crewcamp behind. How far back is he? Oh, he's still quite a way back. He's coming through the last corner now as he goes up to the pit straight. But he will be looking for trying to get into the top 10 if he can, I would have thought.
Oh, but look, from 11th down to 16th. All Bentleys. All of them.
Yeah, that might be a good demonstration of just maybe how tricky this Bentley is to tame round here. With I mean, we've got some quick guys there in Crew Camp Venter as well, haven't we? And they're all just struggling just that little bit.
Wilson in 15th, if I'm reading this correctly. Yes, is all over the back of Jan Prius right now, looking to go up the inside of turn 2. Why is Prius giving him so much room? Goodness me, that was leaving the door open if I've ever seen it. And
possibly let him through.
Yeah, Wilson just absolutely flies through on Prius. Prius not interested in having a battle. I mean, it does often lose you more time, but it is a lot of fun. And now Wilson coming up on the back of a Patterson Works car. I think that is the Santos, and looking to put a lap on him. And then Wilson looking, who's up ahead? Fenter? No, that's quite a big gap. So everybody's spreading out a little bit at the moment. Not too much on track battles. I do see that Deploy is trying to hunt down Sean Stradom, or to keep an eye on their lap times. See what that gap does. It was 1.5 seconds last time they crossed the line. We'll have to see as they come through. You can see the shadows are lengthening. The sun is definitely setting.
It is
the track
indeed.
is down to 18 degrees now. We've lost another couple of degrees.
This is where we start wondering whether the sun in your eyes at the top of the corkscrew is a factor at all. And we're just seeing why Morgan McCall probably should have pitted a bit earlier, because his lap times now that he has pitted and reset his car is half a second quicker than Ross Bartle, and previously he was losing way over a second a lap. So he is closing Bartle now at half a second a lap, and the gap is only 1.1. So this could get very tasty for us as spectators, because we're going to have a battle in the next lap or two for second place.
Yeah, I'm just jumping on board with various people, having a look on board with Ross Bartle at the moment, coming through the corkscrew. I don't see the sun in his eyes just yet. You can kind of see the sun is attempting to get in the way, but I actually think it'll be fine.
This is where you turn all your graphic settings down to the lowest they'll ever go to try and get away with it. That's a CSGO tactic. Try and go into potato mode. Get rid of that HDR.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't actually think it will be too much of a problem. I'm almost seeing more glare through a lot of the other corners. So the corkscrew...
The sun's not in that direction. Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Prius is all over the back of Wilson now. We saw him let him through. Although, who's that? He's letting a front runner through. I think that might be Heineke.
Yeah, it is Heineke.
It's bizarre that Prius basically let Wilson through, and now he's just running all over the back of him. So maybe he just wants somebody to follow.
Yeah, he doesn't want to be on his own. He wants a driving buddy.
I must say, I think McCall is gaining on Bartle.
Yeah, no, he is. We're saying half a second a lap he's gaining on Bartle. So we're just saying that he should have pitted earlier. And he's gaining a good, solid, consistent half second a lap. Gap's under a second now. And we're going to have a fight for this second spot in the next lap or two. So the undercut worked, but he's on older rubber. He's on 6-7 laps older than he is on Morgan McCall. And yeah, it gained him a lot of time, but now he's got to try and hold on to it. He's got to make that Bentley as wide as he possibly can and cover those inside lines. Obviously, McCall's not really had a lot to do, has he, all evening? He had a good attempt into turn 1 on Essa, and then Essa just checked out. And McCall's just been merrily going around on his own. So this is the first time McCall's actually fighting for something the whole race.
And we saw Bartle at the beginning of the race. Definitely this is the closest battle on track right now. We saw Bartle at the beginning of the race really attacking. It was Stradom and Patterson. Patterson first, then Stradom. And also having to defend from deploy. So Bartle kind of knows what he's doing at this point in terms of defensive maneuvers around Laguna Seca. So I don't think he'll be too afraid of anything, but it's going to be interesting to see how they do. Ooh, McCall running a little bit wide through those corners that I hate. Turn 3 and turn 4. Oh, again, just clipping the gravel and
I think if you just
time.
grab a touch, it's not absolutely outrageously slow, but yeah, it's not ideal either. Turn 6, certainly, you can just grab just a touch, but you're much straighter at that point, so it doesn't seem to affect it quite so much. Turn 6, the big one, is just not hitting those sausage curbs on the inside.
So it does look like McCall has to work quite hard at the wheel of that Mercedes. I jump on board with Bartle.
Makes you feel sick when you drive on board with Bartle looking through his rear mirror as they go through the corkscrew. Massive amount of drop. It's, if you're not a fan of roller coasters and you get like that stomach churning feeling, this would not be the circuit for you. Don't try it in VR, guys. I can promise you that.
But if you look at on board with Bartle, just look at his steering input. That Bentley does seem to be a lot more planted, but McCall is undoubtedly quicker at the moment.
Yeah, last time through the gates, though, Bartle was actually quicker, but I think that's because McCall's already caught up, hasn't he? So they're basically fighting each other at this point.
Yeah, we saw the mistakes as well, hitting the gravel a few times, so I expect McCall to be on Bartle once again. You don't have to worry too much about, you can see the sun starting to set. It's actually still fairly high. I reckon by the end, we've got 29 minutes left of the race, still 18 degrees. I think by the end...
We're going to be late dusk, aren't we? We're not going to be fully dark, I don't think. We've got 70 minutes left of sim time. We'll finish at 8:30. Yeah.
I'm feeling Patterson is starting to have a Jadwat problem. Just dipping under a second now, that gap. So we'll have to keep an eye on it. Not as close a battle as Bartle and McCall.
Last lap, Jadwat was, let's have a look, 1.6 seconds quicker than Kieran Patterson in the last lap alone. And the gap now is 0.6 seconds.
Goodness. Okay, so that really is hotting up now.
So we're going to have two fights here, potentially. We've got Ross Bartle and Morgan McCall for second spot, and Kieran Patterson and Bashir Jadwat for fourth.
Yeah,
and they're both going to happen at the same time, aren't they? So let's try and catch both of these.
I'd say the Bartle McCall has sort of stabilised it at just under a second. Bash running very wide there.
Also looking on board with Bartle, he went wide in turn 2 as well. But back on with Bashir Jadwat, who's dropped just a touch further back. 0.7 is the gap from Kieran Patterson. Patterson's we've seen how well he positioned that Ferrari in the early stage of this race, though. It's not going to be an easy pass. It's going to make him go around the outside, that's for sure.
Everybody making little mistakes here and there. Very cat and mouse, this track. Difficult to push hard and try and pressure the guy in front of you and not make mistakes yourself. And of course, Bartle running a little bit wide. Doesn't put his feet into the gravel, but does get a terrible exit. And McCall is using all of that Mercedes power to try and take a position off Bartle. Move up in that podium.
Try on the inside. Not quite enough.
Through.
But it's certainly a circuit where pressure builds, isn't it? Because there's no time to reflect, check your delta, compose yourself. As we said earlier, such a rhythm circuit with so many corners that come on. You can build pressure by not making mistakes. And then, a few more dips into the gravel than you'd like in front. And you're going to have someone side by side before you know it. But McCall's had to drop back just a touch here and regroup behind Ross Bartle. So remember, this is a fight for second spot.
It does seem like a very difficult track to try and put a lot of pressure on, a lot of difficult braking zones, difficult to judge with the guy in front of you. I do get the sense that the Bentley and the Mercedes have kind of different braking points, different places where they're stronger than each other. So
we've got Robert McCall in chat saying that Morgan, obviously knowing that he wasn't going to keep up with Essa, was just merrily going around in engine map 2 mode, taking it easy. And that's probably how the undercut was so powerful and wasn't expecting Ross Bartle to jump him. So I could argue there that Robert McCall should have been spotting a little bit better and say, no, get off of engine map 2, put your foot down, because now he's in a real battle for this second spot to try and gain it back again. And it was so comfortable in the first half of this race.
Yeah, he's doing well. Really starting to be able to follow Bartle much closer than he was a few laps ago through a variety of corners.
I think
He's
Bartle will be
getting the hang of it.
enjoying this, though. It's trying to hold on to this spot. He's
He
got
went a bit
25
wide
minutes.
on the exit. He went very wide on the exit of turn 11, and now look at McCall.
Thought I'd just quickly check in with Bashir Jadwat, who looks like he might make a pass here on the last corner, but he's going around the outside of Kieran Patterson. He's going to have a cutback now. We saw we go onto the AstroTurf, and you're right, you don't get such a good drive off of that green AstroTurf, and he's dropped quite a bit further back. So tempting to try your luck around the outside there, but we've not seen anyone make it the whole evening.
So I stayed on board with McCall, who tried a move into turn 2. Bartle had made a big mistake. Well, not a big mistake. Bartle had made a mistake through turn 11 and gone a bit wide and hadn't got as good a drive as McCall, but he did exceptionally well and just defended the inside line. McCall right alongside him through turn 2, made the most he possibly could, but round the outside just doesn't work. Just doesn't work here.
No, you've just got to cover that inside line no matter what happens, and you should be okay. I mean,
so
that
close.
that wasn't a tidy corkscrew there from Ross Bartle, but it's
He had a very scrappy lap this lap.
you cover that inside though, and it can make up for a lot of sins.
100%. And now they've got a back marker to contend with. McCall must be licking his lips. No, the back marker moves
That was
across.
a good place to catch a back marker. Who is Alexis? Is it Wesley Ferrand? I think it might be Wesley Ferrand.
Looks to have a dive up the inside. Bartle closes the door.
Yeah, it's a much tighter line than we've seen Bartle take in turn 2 all night. So he knows how important it is to just not give any opportunity for a nose to be pushed up the inside.
All running so close to the exit there of turn 3 and 4. Goodness.
We've got 2 fights going on at the same time, because just as close as they are, Bashir Jadwat and Kieran Patterson are also fighting it out for 4th spot behind. Both a demonstration of how important it is for the lead driver, who's slower at the time, to just hold that inside line. We've got Kieran Patterson made a mistake.
Yes.
And he's just switched back as Bashir Jadwat tried to get up the inside, but Patterson was covered it off.
It just shows you, take the right line and you can make really big mistakes and still get away with it.
You just have to, whatever happens, point your car, hug it on the inside.
Yeah. You see Patterson really driving defensively, doing excellently, I must say. Kieran's really come on. I've felt this season. Like he's always seems to find himself in a proper scrap.
Yeah, we've seen him soak up plenty of pressure tonight, haven't we? He had it through the whole first stint, and I mean...
Oh, here we go.
And we've seen this before, though. Now, Bashir Jadwat's trying to cut back. He's looking up the inside. Kieran Patterson might get nudged again here for the second time this evening. He hasn't. Bashir's got the inside. He basically barged his way through there, made sure he got the inside, knew he had to get the inside line. Kieran Patterson, just first time ever, he just had enough of a gap that Bashir Jadwat thought, thank you very much, I'll take that, and he got the pass.
Yeah, he did get it done, as you say, a lot of argy-bargy to get it done, but at this track you kind of have to, you know, as soon as there's half a gap, you just got to put your car in there, it seems, and say, well, buddy, I'm coming through, you decide if we want to have some contact and a trip to the stewards later.
I think it was just enough space. It was a Bentley width plus 5 mil, and Bashir Jadwat thought, thank you very much, I'll take that one. And we're going to go back now and check on Ross Bartle and Morgan McCall, who are just as close together. McCall has not managed to make the pass yet. Nothing between these two drivers.
Still can't believe how much input Morgan McCall is having to put on this on this Mercedes. Like, it's just all over the place.
Potentially might be a bit easier to block an inside with a truck that is a Bentley than it is a little nimble Ferrari, but we'll see how Ross Bartle does. He's definitely taking a tighter line than he has done all night, especially through here in turn 2, where we've seen Bartle go pretty wide. Look how tight he is through there, the whole corner. He's like, not a chance of you coming up the inside there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was just watching, sort of doing a sun watch. We're down to 17 degrees track temperature and 17 degrees air temp, so I think we'll get down to 16, maybe 15 by the end of this race. As McCall runs a bit wide, but
interestingly, lap times have not not come down at all. They're pretty much as they were in the 122s. The only driver in the 121s is no surprise, Abba, but only just 121. Oh no, just went through with a 121.4. So yeah, much quicker than the rest of the field as he has been all night. I'm sorry, I'm on board with Morgan McCall.
Yeah, so watch as you come through one board down. Here you go, there. Down through the corkscrew. See a bit of the sun as Morgan McCall goes up the inside, gets the... he's got to have the pass done here. Surely got to have the pass done.
Side by side, it's enough. Oh no,
but
he hasn't.
Bartle's now on the inside.
Got it back.
What a move. What a move. That is some properly good racing by these two chaps. As we're talking about the sunshine, these guys are absolutely fighting it out tooth and nail. So I really thought Morgan McCall had that done with on the inside coming out of the corkscrew. But then Bartle said, not a chance, buddy. I'll hang it around the outside and take the inside of the next corner. And here we go again.
You're never going to get around the outside here. Not a chance. And we see that is exactly the case. It's just too far around. I mean, it's a 270-degree bend, isn't it? You've got so much more distance to cover.
It does just show how much quicker McCall is at the moment. Whether or not he can make the... I mean, he's tried everything so far, so we might eventually see a move that like Bashir Jadwat had to make, where it's just find a gap and go for it, even if it results in some argy-bargy. We don't like to see drivers being punched off in any way, shape, or form. Obviously, here at SimRace SA, but it's just almost the nature of the track. You kind of got to be a bully here, unfortunately.
But Bartle was looking a lot more composed in the second stint than he was in the first stint, where we saw quite a few errors as he was trying to hound the back of Kieran Patterson, and eventually did get through a little bit a bit controversially. But in the defending role that he's now playing as the roles switch, he's feeling more comfortable. Yeah, graphics look great, don't they, as the sun sets here at Laguna Seca?
Yeah, but it is getting in the driver's eyes now as they exit the corkscrew, as they come out of the corkscrew, not into it. So it's fine on the brakes going in, but coming out as they exit, the sun really gets in your eyes in a few corners all the way to turn 11. So I think turn 11 is probably where they're struggling the most in terms of being able to spot a braking point, and especially when you're in a battle like this for a podium position. You could see a mistake or two cropping in at those points now as well.
And McCall's had to try and switch it on after cruising around thinking he's got second in the bag, coming through the pit window and suddenly thinking, hold on a minute, I've got some work to do here. And he's certainly got the pace. He's got second place on merit, I think. But if Ross Bartle can keep him behind for another 17 minutes, it will be one of the epic drives here at SimRace South Africa.
Yeah, definitely. Look at this. He's got an excellent driver. Bartle just puts it on the inside. Is he going to be able to go around the outside of the corkscrew?
I don't think so. Going to try and go for the cutback here.
Switch back. Look at that. He's going to get the inside now. Inside coming out, the exit.
We saw this in the previous lap. There's contact.
Bartle will come back on.
I think he's going to have to let him come back on, and he is going to do that. So well done to Morgan McCall. He's let him regroup. Fantastic. That's exactly what we want to see. We want to see this battle carry on.
He's now going to go for it again. He's going to regroup. They're close together. This is awesome racing. That was fantastic to see from Morgan and Ross. We love to see a little bit of wheel-to-wheel action.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. I mean, two stewards here in commentary. I don't have a problem with that whatsoever. You see a bit of contact, and it's the nature of the circuit. You're going to get some. But when it happens to think, no, fair enough, let's try again, and just lift off Morgan McCall, and they're back, and no harm done.
Yeah, exactly. McCall running wide on the exit there. I would like to know of these two cars which suffers more from damage. I would probably put my money on the Mercedes, not dealing as well with damage. Oh, we see Bartle.
I don't know. That Germans build a bit of a stronger car than us Brits. Let's be honest. We like it to look robust, but quite often it isn't. This is from someone that owns a British car.
I'm not sure you're banging doors like this.
No, I flipping hope not, but it manages to break without banging doors, if I'm honest. So, yeah, but let's see. They've regrouped. We've got 16 minutes. This battle could go right to the end. Like I said, if Bartle can somehow... He'll be wise to this move on the corkscrew at least now, won't he? He'll be wise to that. Because it's happened twice.
He wasn't wise. Yeah, I was surprised he wasn't wise to it the last time. But I guess he thought around the outside at the top of the corkscrew, never going to happen, buddy. But then the black marker, and that's allowed McCall to go up the inside. This could be it.
Oh, I think it could be it. If he can just keep it in and hold that inside. He's got to keep his nose on the inside here. Whoever gets the inside into turn 2 has won this position.
And I think Bartle knows it. There's nothing he can do.
Nothing.
There's absolutely nothing he can do. Trying to take a wider line to get a good cutback, but it's just not going to help. And that was very opportunistic.
Yeah, back marker trying to be helpful actually caused the pass for the second place here as Morgan McCall is naturally got his second place, so well done to him. He's on for a real good finish if he can just hold it off. And then I'm going to get to see whether Bartle can hold on to the back of him. I fear not, to be honest.
Have a jump back to P13. We got Fenter on Childs and Wilson hanging on in the background. So we've got another battle here on track. This Bentley on Bentley. We've got the Bentley cluster, but Crocombe quite far ahead of Childs. Either way, Fenter is looking to try and take 12th position. They are fairly close together. I'm not sure Bartle is going to be able to hang on to McCall now.
No, I don't think he will be. Just on the basis that McCall was naturally quicker, and he'll be really putting the medal down now. Just to make sure he gets that second spot cemented. What's the gap between Bartle and Jadwat? It's 15.9 seconds. Now, I think the best thing that Bartle could do now is try and get that to 20 seconds.
Yeah, definitely.
Just to cover himself for any possible investigation that possibly might come his way. So he can still get a podium finish. Very good result. But he just needs to get that gap to 20 seconds.
So I think something's happened with Patterson because he's slipped now behind Sean Stradom, and Sean Stradom is very close to Jadwat. So I wonder if Jadwat's had an issue recently because...
Well, the lap times of at least the last lap don't show that. Jadwat was at 22.6. Very quick, actually. He was
I think it would have been the previous lap just based on the gap and how it grew. So I wonder if Jadwat did have a little bit of an issue somewhere.
Jadwat is currently, or last lap at least, over Ross Bartle, had 8 tenths quicker.
Goodness.
So, yeah, that's not what we want. Oh, I'm on with Kieran Patterson. Has completely gone off the circuit. Like, completely off. We saw Patterson went for a splash and dash, didn't we? And we said, would this affect him at the end of the race? And I just saw Patterson just go completely off the circuit on his own through turn 3 or 4.
Track is still at 17 degrees, but remember, if Patterson hasn't taken tyres, then he's still on the same pressures that he started the race on.
And he's nowhere near as composed as I would expect him to be, Kieran Patterson. I'm just going to watch him for a little bit longer. But yeah, he just went completely off the circuit on his own there. So he might be struggling on these used tyres.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, we started the race and I think it was about 28, 29 degrees track temperature. We're now down to 17. So for the sake of commentary maths, let's say that's half the temperature it was when we started. So, yeah, those tyres are not going to be happy.
And this has got a bit of circuit that hounds them a bit. I'm just looking in the background, actually, as we got Kieran Patterson come through to the last corner. And right at the end of the straight was Zaya Esser, our leader, who is coming up now to lap up to 7th position in 80 minutes. Pretty impressive.
Mad, really.
Pretty impressive.
I just imagine that Ferrari is also a bit difficult on the limit, so you don't those tyres. It's going to be a fight.
It was here where you struggled through turn 4. So last lap through turn 4, he just went clean off. Much better through on this lap. Doesn't seem to be an issue.
See, Fenter has got past Wilson now, by the way. So. And they are, based on the liveries, looks like teammates. So I think Wilson will have not fought that too hard.
There was a bit of synchronized swimming, was it, between teammates?
Yeah, but he is all the way on the back of Fenter. So you never know. You never know.
Brett Crewcamp still in 11th spot. Dwayne Hall in his immaculate-looking 720S has only got 11 minutes left to get it back home, and I think he'll be pretty chuffed with the top 10. Mark van Rensburg, very lonely race on his own in 9th position, as Chris Heineke, who was right there, and we thought that he could maybe move a bit forward, but it's just settled back on his own, really, in 8th spot in the other 911.
I'm having a look at Hugo de Wit at the moment in 18th position, and he is on the back of Janneman Prius, the end of that Bentley train, and looking to gain a position for his Lexus is Hugo.
Apparently Kieran found the sausage curve on turn 6.
Okay,
So
that would explain it.
let's
That
hope
would
he hasn't got
explain it.
damage, because if you find that, you're going to generally find a few other issues afterwards. But yeah, that'll explain his 1:27 lap time.
Yeah, that's a good 6 seconds it cost him. Right, so we're kind of settling down with 10 minutes left of the race. Track temperature's still 17 degrees. I don't think it's going to drop too much below that now.
I said I'd bring it up, Nick, because we've settled down and I'm looking and there's not too many gaps. But just in case anyone doesn't know and is listening, you are a bit of an endurance hero. Have just come off the back of a 24-hour race locally last weekend. Maybe just give us a quick rundown of that.
Yeah, sure. So it was actually the first ever 24-hour race run in Africa.
Really? That's
yeah.
epic. I didn't know that. That's brilliant.
Yeah, so obviously we've had Kyalami 9-hour and all sorts of things
not a
like that
24.
historically, but never a 24-hour race. So that was, it was kind of based on the American 24 Hours of Lemons format. So we had 50 grand to prepare a car, excluding safety.
Did you blow the budget or were you under?
No, we were under.
Substantially,
we
or?
not actually that much, because you
okay.
do want to make sure the car is as.
And does your budget have to allow for the parts that you have there waiting to replace in case something goes wrong, or is it just the car that's actually put on the grid?
Luckily, it's just the car that's put on the grid. Otherwise, you would be in big
not close,
trouble
yeah,
for
fair
50 grand. Yeah, and they do want guys to finish, but so you could, if you really wanted to, buy a GT3 engine and just replace it when you started the race. But
have a 200 grand engine that drops in after lap one.
Yeah, the problem
that's
is
a little tactic. It takes half an hour. It takes several hours to do. Yeah.
Well, exactly. So it's not quite worth it. But no, it was really epic fun. We raced in our little Datsun 1200. And we got to the end. We ended up a net 12th, crossed the line 16th, but after penalties and so on for people, net 12th, and it was a really good really good experience. Didn't sleep at all, but it was amazing fun, and we just found the key to success was really being prepared.
I hasten to add that that's probably why you're feeling just a touch under the weather this weekend.
I hope it's
the body's in a bit of denial, possibly.
Yeah,
very well done, very impressive. I would love to do it. That sounds pretty good. I have to try and get involved next year somehow.
Yeah, I would highly recommend it. And you need a lot of people for a team, so
I just have to just get into someone else's team. Yeah.
Well, as I say, the plan for us next year is to have 3 cars, not just one. And get ourselves 3 entries out of the 46. So
triple the chance of success.
Well, exactly.
So we're going into a bit of an endurance season here in South Africa then, because we've got the Kyalami 9-hour coming up on the 3rd of December, which is probably the biggest motorsport event in SA, I would say, in the year.
I definitely agree with that. Yeah, and we got the virtual one the week before as well, which I think you're involved with.
It's a huge amount of endurance work going on in the background. But yeah, can't wait for the 9-hour. It should be great to see some of the big teams, some of these GT3 cars going around in real life at our own circuit in Joburg. I think ticket sales will be this week. A little birdie tells me. So get your fingers ready and make sure, because there'll be a limited number. And it'd be good if we could meet a few people there. I'm not sure whether that will be a possibility with the COVID restrictions, but if we can, it would be great to get a little showing from
that would be
Simray
awesome.
South Africa guys at the Kyalami 9-hour. I think last time we had the opportunity to do it was 2019, wasn't it? So it's been a couple of years, and I think it's a full field this year, so we'll get to see all the big teams. There was a few that were reluctant to come here, but as soon as we were off everyone's red list, all of a sudden the grid filled up, so should be a good race.
Yeah, I mean, what we experienced for our 24-hour race was people are just so keen to get involved in events and do things again. So
yeah, we've all been sat at home bored. Any possibility, but that's great that anyone can get involved though in your one, that 24-hour. That really must have been quite good fun at the end of the day.
Exactly.
Feel like a bit of an achievement. You've managed to at least finish. I have to say, guys, I don't know whether anyone's seen the picture of the car that Nick was managing, but 24 hours. I mean, that's more impressive than Ross Barthel keeping Morgan McCall behind for 40 minutes. Let's put it that way. I mean, that was quite an achievement to get that little Datsun to the end.
Yeah, I know. To be honest, we bought the car. What was it? Myself and a mate co-owned the car, and we bought it 9 years ago as sort of our first attempt or foray into the world of real motorsport. And I mean, we don't know a huge amount now.
So it sat
we
there for a
certainly
while
knew-
then. It sat there for quite a while, unused.
Yeah.
Waiting for
what
this
we did-
opportunity for a 24-hour Lemons race.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
you're like, it's
Wait.
perfect. I've got to use it.
When we bought the car, we spent 10.5 grand on it, and we, over the course of the next about 3 years, made it progressively worse than 10.5 grand. So
Right.
you must know what kind of condition it was in before we started prepping it for this race.
I mean, the tape that you put over the front beams was actually structural. That's what I was. Yeah. If you took that off, the car would have, the wings would have fallen off. It was required. It wasn't just to keep the glass intact in case you hit it.
Yeah, you should have seen what it looked like before the livery. The livery made it look 100 times better. It was, it's a true lemon. Let's put it that way.
As it should be. As it should be.
But definitely a fighter as well.
Okay, so we've got 4.5 minutes left of this race. In the meantime, it's just gone past 8:30 in the evening, and sun is very much starting to set. We're not going to finish in the dark, I don't think, so they've just had to go through a transition. Sean Stridham in 5th place. I just think he's had a very good race. Very much improved driver, I think, Stridham.
Yeah,
so he's going to be
really well.
He's going to be happy with his result in the Aston Martin if he can just keep it there. Bashir Jadwat has recovered from his early mishaps to get solid points in 4th position. I think that's all he wants is solid points, because he's looking at the championship. He's not looking for race wins at this point.
Yeah, definitely, and we've seen quite a scrappy race from Bash actually.
Yeah, a bit scrappy in the
mistake.
first half for sure, but I think a little bit better in the second, I think, to be fair.
Yeah, I definitely found his rhythm at the end. Track temperature now down to 16, which I think is what I predicted at the beginning we'd get to. So these guys had to manage a fair amount here. Laguna Seca is not an easy track to do longer stints at.
I'm just trying to figure out what the gap is between Bartle and Jadwat. 18.1. Finally,
18.
it comes up. So just 2 more seconds, Bartle, please, and then it makes me and Nick's job much easier tomorrow. So he has actually stretched that lead just a little touch as Bartle, 18.1, and he's got only a couple more laps to go. So it's going to be a bit of a tall order to get to 20 seconds. But he wants Bashir Jadwat just to lift a little bit, maybe.
Looks like he's coming up against Endron Governor. I don't think Endron will waste too much time getting out the way.
See, Jadwat's not going to lift because he can't lift because less than a second behind. He's got Sean Stridham behind in the Aston, so he's got to keep his foot down. He's pushing to try and finish in that 4th spot.
Yeah, 100%.
Needless to say, Essa is... I mean, where has he lapped up to? I'm just trying to work out. I mean, he's coming through turn 2. Lap to 5th.
Up to 5th, yeah. So he looks to me to be about 4 or 5 seconds behind 5th on the road.
So just a reminder for everyone else, there's 31 cars on this grid at the start, and Essa has lapped all the way up to 5th position. So it really has been a dominant showing from Zaire Essa as he's worked his way through the lower divisions to get here.
Yeah.
He had to do the last round in Division 2. I didn't see it, but that would have been quite a sight, I imagine, for the poor Division 2 drivers that had to race with him.
I would imagine that this is, I would say, the most dominant victory we've seen so far this season.
Definitely, yeah, definitely. I think it has been. That's fair to say.
We have seen guys dominate races.
We've had some surprise results as well, though, haven't we? And we've had obviously we had rain at Zandvoort. That caused just anyone that could keep the car forward did well there.
Yeah, that was a good fun race, if I remember correctly. It wasn't great for the stewards afterwards. 26th is in the pits. Holzheisen is in the pits again. Not sure why. Presumably for damage, or he's running out of fuel.
Yeah, you don't want to mess up your fuel, but you feel like you must do if you've got a pit with a minute to go. That's got to be not enough fuel put in at the pit window.
What lap time is Sean Stradham doing, and what lap time is Essa doing?
Stradham did a 1:23 flat, and Essa's last time through was a 1:21.6.
Goodness, so a second and a half a lap is what he's catching Stradham.
Yeah.
He won't catch him for an overtake, I don't think. I would be surprised.
Yeah, I
You
don't.
can see him in the background now.
But that's substantial. That's a. I mean, he's dominant. So the best lap of the race for IRS was a 21.25.
Straight on has almost had a little lunge on Jadwat. Jadwat saw it coming.
Would have been from a long way back.
Took a very defensive line. I'm glad Straight Up jumped on the brakes there because that could have ended in tears for both of them. But look how quick Straight Up is all of a sudden.
Oh, he got a tap
he's
there.
back.
That was a tap there. He's going to have to let him pass, surely. That was a... Yeah, he's going to let him pass. He's doing the right
now
thing.
Here comes the leader. Here comes the leader. So now Essa
He'll lap
putting
up
his
to
nose
fourth
in.
spot, will Essa.
Yep.
And just to show you the relentless pace that IRS had tonight, his fastest lap of the race was a 1:21.255. His last lap through was also in the 1:21s.
That was actually the end of the race for Essa. He just
clipped it on the last second.
Yeah, so bit of drama there for Essa right at the end, but a fantastic race from him. But both Jadwat and Straight On do get across the line, I think. Yes, they do. So they are still racing. These two are still racing. They've got one more lap left.
Yeah, so just crossed the line as it ticked 0 and manages to make it a shorter evening for himself. I think I thought he was going to head into some load shedding, was Essa. Maybe that's why he was keen to finish it, but maybe he's got a bit of a backup as we get the flares going, and Morgan McCall will come through to get a deserved second place. He had a very clean lap, went maybe a little bit too soft in the first stint, had to work for it in the second stint to get past Ross Bartle. And I think overall we'll be pretty happy for his result. Ross Bartle gets a solid provisional podium spot in third place. A little bit untidy in the first stint, but very well driven in the second stint. And the undercut worked so well for him, didn't it? Really, really did gain him a lot of time, as it did for Bashir Jadwat, who had a bit of recovery from his mishap at the start. And will finish in fourth. Sean Stridham, what a race in the Aston.
Great race. Yeah, fantastic race from him. And I think that tap will have resulted in Bartle being over 20 seconds ahead.
Yes, there you go. It was 20.6 seconds. So Bartle will probably hold on no matter what happens to his podium spot. So overall, good night out there. Kieran Patton might feel a little bit hard done for. He finishes in 7th. Heineke 8th. Mark van Rensburg didn't see much of him. Completes in 9th. Dwayne Hall got his immaculate 720S to the end in the top 10. So big congratulations to him. So I think that's a bit of a wrap for us here at round 5 at Laguna Seca. It was a little bit harder to pass, I'm not going to lie, than I thought it would be. And we just saw how important it was to hold that inside line.
That brings Essa in. We'll have a quick chat with him. Hello, Z. That was an insanely dominant race for you. Was it just completely too easy for you, or were you actually stressed at all?
That car drove itself, man. It was
you looked
super
on
basic.
rails. You looked on rails.
To be honest, this car it's too quick here in Raystrom.
We were a little bit concerned that we thought you possibly were getting load shed and you were going to...
I was counting down the seconds.
Right.
And,
you managed to cross the line with basically 0 on the clock, so we didn't know whether that was tactical as well, to just make sure you didn't do an extra lap. But you're still here chatting with us now, so you must have power.
Yeah, I got power, so I'm lucky. I think when I was load shed earlier, they didn't bring it back for another hour past our schedule, so maybe we're on borrowed time, who knows. But yeah, at least I didn't get shed.
You need to get yourself a backup, man. But that was a phenomenal performance. You lapped all the way up to 5th position, and with Straight On tapping the back of Jadwat right at the end, you almost
had a look for 4th.
Yeah.
So I was on the chat on Discord with Bash, and I was just trying to get him to like. I was trying to lap them so you wouldn't have to fight off Straight On for another lap. But, I couldn't quite get it done.
Oh well, it was incredible. It was absolutely incredible. As I was saying to Dan in the commentary box now, I don't think we've seen quite as dominant a victory this season as you did.
I'm surprised. I mean, the Porsche is very fast here for one. So as I said, it did drive itself, but I think the other cars are a bit further off the pace, so it just exaggerated it a bit.
We saw. I mean, we were saying in the parade lap that the only chance Morgan McCall would have was have a look on turn 1. He did indeed have a look. He had a good, very strong look, but it was all the way around the outside. And then the whole night we just saw guys that were under immense pressure, but as long as they covered that inside line, it was much harder to pass than we thought it would be. And we saw a lot of defensive driving throughout the field.
Oh, okay. I didn't see much of that. But,
once you held McCall off, I think that was it. It was like you checked out, and McCall was cruising around on his own basically, and then he didn't realise that Bartle pitted very early, come out in front of him, and then there was a good old battle there.
Okay, nice.
So something for you to watch back, because you didn't feature too much because you were just too far ahead.
Yeah, I tried to follow on the timing, the different battles, and Bash was telling me about this and that. But yeah, from my side, a bit boring.
Cool. But yeah, epic race. We've got the next round, which is of course the last round of the season. I'm assuming, based on the fact that you missed a couple of rounds, that you're probably not in the running for the championship this year.
No,
which is really unfortunate. But last round of the season is Spa coming up. Do you anticipate the Porsche is going to be good around there, or do you think you're going to be struggling in comparison to Laguna?
I reckon I'll be struggling. I see some guys have gotten the Porsche to work around there, but I haven't spent any time setting up there, so I highly doubt I will be as quick as here, but it should be fine. Be more fun than here.
Yeah, definitely. Spa it's a bit like, for me, it's a bit like Paul Ricard. It's definitely not a fun track to learn and to lap and to practice, but the race itself is generally pretty entertaining.
Yeah, look, I like the track, and being in the Porsche is such a jolt, really. It's so much fun. Like, for me, it kept me on my toes in this race, actually, because the rear tires were dying after half the stint. So it's really quite a rough rodeo ride in this car. So it should be fun.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to it. I think you guys this season have provided us with absolutely endless entertainment. Dan, I think you were saying 4 different winners so far this season.
It was before this round, yeah. So, Esther, you won. Did you win? Have you won a round already, or is it? You're not the 5th, are you? You've got one.
I have one.
So you're the first double winner of this season, which is unusual for here. We went into this race with no one winning 2 races. Obviously, you had a couple of drop rounds, so you're unfortunately out for the championship, but you're in for a good laugh at least. So I'm sure you'll be back for the last round to have another push. And we've got Bashir Jadwat, who's leading the standing, probably still is, because he's just been consistent with points, which is it's obviously been a difficult season anyway, with all sorts of load shedding and lockdowns and the rest of it. So
exactly. You don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah,
I mean, I got lucky here. But I mean, half the grid I was expecting to be off.
Yeah, we actually turned out a lot better for stage 4 load shedding than I thought we would be. 31 cars on the grid, so at least a lot of guys that managed to make it out.
Yeah, true.
Okay, so I think that's a wrap for round 5. Nick, what have we got coming up? Just to remind these good people, because I've completely forgotten.
Not a problem at all. We've got Sim Legends coming up next week, this coming week, and we are, I tell you where we are for Legends. We are not at Killarney, we are at Bikaniki or Bikaniki, however you say that, but with a short oval circuit.
That was an absolute nightmare in F3 last season.
It was, but this is the short oval circuit, and I've driven it, and there's maybe 3 corners in the whole track. It's ridiculous.
In a mini.
So in the mini,
okay,
there are going to be thousandths separating everyone. That's going to be pretty insane. That is round 5, so the second last round of Sim Legends, and then we will of course be back for Sim TC the following week, the 22nd of November, for the last round of Sim TC at Buenos Aires in Argentina. So that'll kick off the last round for all of us, Sim TC, and then following that will be GP last round, which will be at Kyalami. So looking forward to that on the 29th of November, and then I think we will then be back for GT once again.
For the final round of Spa, which is, what's the date of that one? Monday the 6th of December. Okay, brilliant. Yeah. So plenty to look forward to, and we might be going into our last round, but if you want to sign up, you still can. Just go to simracesa.co.za, sign up. maybe dip your toe in the water before we start a new season in January.
Yeah,
And,
perfect time to do it. Remember that here at SimRace SA, we do get everybody to donate a little bit of money to charity. It does not come to us whatsoever. So 2021.2, we have currently got 33,000 Rand in the bank for charity, or not in our bank, it goes directly to the charity. That is absolutely phenomenal. Last season we raised 37,000 Rand.
So we're over 80 grand this year to charity.
70.
Oh, right,
We're
yes.
70
No,
grand.
yeah, 70 grand. 70 grand. But I mean, that's pretty impressive,
That's
isn't it? From a
proper,
bunch of
yeah.
sim races just racing on a Monday and a Wednesday night. 70k to charity to help a good cause.
Yeah,
That's pretty good.
that's phenomenal. That really is phenomenal. So well done to everybody, and we will see you again next time.
Superb. So we're going to say goodbye here from SimRace South Africa and round 5 here at Laguna Seca. We look forward to seeing you again, maybe on Wednesday night or back here in the simGT for the final round at Spa. But until we do, please drive safe, enjoy your sim racing, and we'll see you soon. Thanks. Go well.
Ciao, ciao.